What a wonderful Wednesday. How are you? Welcome to the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, and Facebook. Gregor Show, as always, presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website where 100% of the revenue stays right here in the lovely province of Alberta. How are you doing? I'm Jason Gregor alongside Connor Halley. It is hump day, and hopefully you're getting over the hump as the Oilers are, they'll be flying tomorrow. I think their flight leaves at, what is going on with this chair? There you go. Flight leaves around 9 a.m. tomorrow, and then they will be off to Florida to get set for Media Day on Friday, and then the Stanley Cup Final on Saturday. Something tells me many of you, like myself, will be more than ready to get things going. But it's a lot of fun leading up to it, looking at lots of different angles on, what people like, who they're thinking. I think you could maybe get to the point where it's a little bit of craziness on overanalyzing it too much. So we'll try to avoid that a little bit. Today we had a chat with Brett Kulak. And when do you think the last time Brett Kulak played right defense on a regular basis was? How about never in the National Hockey League? He said it's been well over 10 years. He thought he did it a little bit maybe in junior, but probably more so regularity out of that. So that's a long time yet. This guy comes in the Stanley Cup Conference Final, moves over to the right side, plays pretty darn well. Well, we'll talk to Kulak, who, of course, is getting set for his second Stanley Cup Finals appearance. Was with the Montreal Canadiens in 2021. And like Ekholm and Janmark and Henrique has obviously wanting a different outcome. Same with Corey Perry for his last 3 trips to the Stanley Cup. He won his first one in 2007 with the Ducks 17 years ago. Young Corey Perry won the Stanley Cup. Adam Henrique was a rookie in 2012 when he went to the Cup final. Yeah, you think you get back. There is no guarantee. That's why, you know what, the players, there's a fine balance. You want to enjoy the moment. Obviously, it's way better if you win. Duh. But, so we talked to a few of them. We'll hear from McDavid and Draisaitl, who, you know what, very confident. Like Leon Draisaitl, he's got a real, I would say, kind of subdued confidence. He's like, dude, I can play with anybody. We can play any game. He believes a lot in his team. And, obviously they're expecting Florida to be physical. They know what they are, but they're like, we're not scared of them, nor should they be, right? It'll be a difference. But, hey, Florida hasn't met Edmonton either. Like, I'm sorry, but Mikko Zibanejad, the number 1 center, is not Connor McDavid. He's not Leon Draisaitl. So, yes, Barkov had a good series, no question, but he didn't play against Connor McDavid. Right? So it was just like against Dallas, never, the depth and everything. And, Chris Tanev. And Chris Tanev is very good, but he's lost a step. And the guys he was defending aren't Connor McDavid. It's just different. So, we'll see how this series goes. But I don't buy for a moment that the Oilers should be intimidated, nor will they be. Florida's a really good team, but so are the Edmonton Oilers. They didn't luck their way in. This is not a Cinderella run. Like, no offense to the 06 team, that was a Cinderella run. And when they got to the final, Carolina had been a second place team in their conference. They had good all year, and the Oilers still gave 'em a run. Who knows what would have happened if Rolston stays out? I have no idea. We can speculate, but we truly don't know. The Oilers, they come in, they're full marks for getting here. This was not a Cinderella run. They were the best team in the final 70 regular season games. And now we'll see. Can they find a way to win 4 more games? Because really, when you get down to the brass tactics, that's all it is. Can they win 4 games? It doesn't matter if they win pretty. It doesn't matter if they win ugly. Just win. Like game 6 against Dallas. Was it their best effort as a team? No, but it was Stuart Skinner. He's part of their team. He played excellent. So if one night you can have your goalie steal a game, the next night maybe McDavid can go supernova. Maybe the next night Bouchard does, or Draisaitl, or the next night it's Janmark with a shorthanded goal. Like, who knows? All you need is find a way to win 4 games. And honestly, that's how you look at it. We can overanalyze stuff. I'm not a big believer in that. I like looking at some of the data for sure. But, to go crazy over it, I just don't. I don't buy that, people are like, well, how can Edmonton win? As though it would be like impossible for them. I don't get that. Right? It's just like the last series. I debated with many people about the Oilers' depth not being an issue against Dallas. And it wasn't. In fact, their depth was better than Dallas's in that series. It just simply was. So not only on forward, but also on defense. I mentioned Brett Kulak. Brett Kulak went and played a position he hadn't played in the National Hockey League his entire career. And then he does pretty damn well at it. So great. And we got a loaded show for you today. This will make the day fly by, I think, for sports fans. Yaremchuk will be by in hour number 1. Also, Randy Gregg going to talk a little Riverhawks. We might talk some hockey with the doctor coming up today in hour number 1. Also, an edition of Who Is It Wednesday. Our next guest in Who Is It Wednesday was a late round draft pick in the 1990s. He had a 4-year collegiate career, played 3 seasons in the American League before having an NHL career that spanned 9 seasons. Also played 2 years in Europe, albeit one was kind of short, but still. Classifies. If you start there, you finish there. So, yeah, that's our Who Is It Wednesday guest today, who I think will be a very interesting guest for our audience. I'm thinking there'll be some stories that you like to hear. So that's coming up in the 3 o'clock hour today. Also, Mike Rupp will be by. We've got Ken Daneyko, of course, very popular former NHLer in the New Jersey area, but also from Edmonton, right? Multiple Stanley Cup rings for Mr. Daneyko. Had a great career. One of the genuinely good dudes. Like, that's a guy, like, if you're like, hey, is there somebody you want to have a beer with? Tell some good stories. That's Ken. So he will join us at 4:20 today. You can always get involved. 833-401-1440. 833-401-1440 is the number to get in on the eWell inbox. They're already humming in quickly on that. Also, we should mention Cons. First of all, how are you doing?
Gregor, doing good. The week's dragging a little bit, but the next few days are going to be really exciting. So doing good.
The do you see anything that's surprised you at all? That because there's a mountain, you can find lots of different story angles. If you want to have a one-on-one with Ken Holland, it's up at OilersNation.com today. Just talking about kind of, when he came into Edmonton 5 years ago. Remember, the Oilers had finished 25th and 23rd in the 2 years before Holland arrived. They'd missed the playoffs 12 out of 13 years. Even with 4 years with McDavid, they hadn't had a lot of success. Right? Then he came in. Near the end of his first year, COVID hits. Then Oscar Klefbom has to retire due to chronic arthritis in his shoulder. That's a huge loss to your team. At the time, he was your number 1 left defenseman. Probably your number 1 defenseman. Running the power play. Playing shorthanded. Probably the best abs in the league at the time. Or at least showed him off anyway. Then after Klefbom, because remember that was the year he came back, they played in the bubble. So that was the end of August when that series started, give or take. Maybe it was the beginning. I can't remember the exact timeline. But because I know they handed out the cup in October. So yeah, they would have probably started in early August. So that's, you find out nearing October, when he's not coming back. Then he ends up having surgery in, I think it was February, but he was done. few months after that, Adam Larson. Now, his father had passed away the year before in Edmonton. I know some people don't know the story, but Adam Larson's parents, they flew into Edmonton. They arrived at the airport. It was on there was a skate that morning at 10 o'clock. The orders were skating. And his parents had arrived late that night, and they were going to, he was just going to meet him at his house after. And unfortunately, his father had a heart attack and passed away. And that situation was very devastating for his mother. And for her, just coming back to Edmonton wasn't in the cards. And so when he became a free agent, he liked everything about Edmonton. He liked the team, but just needed a change. Just needed a new address. He wanted his mom to come visit him during the season. It was difficult for him too. And so he elected to leave Edmonton. So now that's 2 of your top 3 D-men that are gone in 10 months. And I think, as everybody can attest to, finding really good NHL defensemen ain't that easy. You can do it. Obviously, the Oilers got Matthias Ekholm. But you know what? Had to give up 2 first-rounders, Tyson Barrie. Like, guys don't just give you those players. It's hard to find. And so we talk about that and his thoughts on some of the moves that worked and some that didn't. Because there's no GM that every move works. It's impossible. Yet, there's been some big home runs. There's been some misses, sure, but I think there's been way more hits than misses. The biggest hits, of course, Zach Hyman, Ekholm, Kulak. All right, then I think there's been some other really solid signings and trades that have panned out very well. All right, Matthias Janmark's been a solid player. For a $1 million player who's super reliable, kills penalties, doesn't really hardly make any defensive mistakes, you know what you get every night. Solid player. Cody Ceci for $3.25 million. He plays 20 minutes a night. I know sometimes he frustrates people, and that's fair. He doesn't get paid like a superstar. He's not a superstar. But right now, look since Game 5 against Vancouver. Go look up Cody Ceci's numbers. Look at this series against Dallas. He was one of 8 forwards to play over 100 minutes, 5-on-5 in the series. So logging a lot of minutes. And he was on the ice for the fewest goals against. And that's what matters. Like, I'm sorry, in playoffs, I don't care about expected goals. Expected goals is irrelevant. Anybody will tell you it's too small of a sample size in each series. Right? It's why the guys at Puck IQ, they don't do the playoff tracking, because they said it's not a big enough number to really matter when it comes to odds, right? And saying if over time, because that's what it is, over time, if you constantly outshoot things, it should give you a better number. And I get the theory behind it. But guess what? In the postseason, all that matters is goals for and goals against. That's all that matters. And even then, sometimes it's like it's unlucky. Right? You can be on the ice and do nothing wrong. Goal goes in. You're just like, well, hey, chalk it up. Happens. But, CC only been on the ice for 2 goals against in that series, 5-on-5 against Dallas. Played the most minutes on your blue line in Game 6, a clinching game. So while some people don't like his analytics, unless you think Knobloch and Coffey are idiots, why are they playing him the most minutes? He must be doing something right. So I'd say it's a good signing. $3.25 million. Doesn't get overpaid at all. If you actually look for minutes played for a cap hit, it's pretty good. Right? It's quite good, actually. And there's lots of other guys. Right? Evander Kane signings worked out well for this team. He added something they didn't have. A little bit injury prone now. The Warren Fogle trade over Ethan Bear worked out. Corey Perry, low risk bet, comes in, has helped out. So way more hits to me than misses. We all know the Jack Campbell contract, not good, right? If you went back and the Zach Kassian one, obviously too long a term, number one. Term for sure. And then obviously even the cap hit, right? Not ideal. But it didn't crush them. Right? The big ones have helped you way more than the other ones have hindered you. And that's how you got to look at it. Right? Like, not every signing for any team is going to work out. Right? Like Bobrovsky, for the first years, people hated that contract in Florida. Last few years, they like it. They're like, hey, he's giving us really good value. Not really good value, but he's giving you really good play. So we'll see if it can come to fruition for the Oilers. And I know a lot of people are curious about Ken Holland's future. When I asked him about it, he just said, you know what? I don't want anything about my situation during the Stanley Cup final. The focus should be on the players because that's what matters. So politely declined. My gut still tells me that in conversations before with Ken, I think the full-time, day-to-day stress, timeline, everything of being a GM, I don't think he wants to do that anymore. Right? Wants to spend a little bit more time with his wife, kids, grandkids. But in a consultant role, that I could see there being interest in. Now, I have no idea if the Oilers, Jeff Jackson's been pretty hush-hush about it on, what his plan is. Could they use Ken Holland? There's people that'll doubt him. That's fine. But he's got a Hall of Fame career. Whether you like it or not, it's a Hall of Fame career. He's won. And, he's got expertise in negotiating with some contracts. Obviously, the GM would have the final say. But anybody out there, if you take over a business and now you're in a role that you have more responsibility, most people like having someone to lean on, asking for advice. Hey, well, what about this situation? What about that? Doesn't mean you have to take their advice and do everything they say, but it can help you to determine the path you want to go. And Bouchard, Draisaitl, McDavid all need contracts here in the next few summers. I'd say it's a pretty important, like that more than anything else will be the most important roles for the new GM. So we'll see. Is Ken Holland gonna stick around in a advisor role? I have no idea. But I'll say as a GM job, I would be stunned if he's back in a full-time GM job. I think he's ready to, and I'm sure people out there know, like, people have retired, but they don't really retire. So, I think Ken would like to take some off his plate. But if there was a situation where he could be still involved in some role, I think that's something that might interest him. Again, I can't say that for sure, but I think that's much more plausible than him being the GM. I think I would be floored at this point if he signs a GM like full year extension. And if he did, it can't be longer than 1 year. I think that would be the most. And even then, I'd be surprised. So we'll see. If you want to check that out, you can at OilersNation.com. We'll return. Yaremchuk will join us. Some interesting line combinations. If you missed it today for the Edmonton Oilers, no surprise. Their top line remains the same. Hyman with McDavid and Nugent Hopkins. Draisaitl skated today with Holloway and Foegele. Now, Evander Kane didn't skate. So Draisaitl, Kane, and Holloway were aligned last series. They did get split up near the end when McLeod and Perry went with Draisaitl. And that could happen again. But Kane, according to Knobloch, he expects him to play. They're just resting him. He hasn't really practiced much at all in the playoffs. Then you had Henrique with Janmark and Brown. And then you had Ryan and Carrick taking rotations with Corey Perry and Ryan McLeod. So my gut tells me I think Sam Carrick would center, like he'll be the fourth line center to start game one. That's just my gut feel. So we'll see. I could be totally wrong on that. Him and Ryan have flopped back and forth, but Derek Ryan had a tough series against Dallas. He was on the ice for 5 goals against in like 37 minutes and none for. So I could see, like we saw Adam Henrique taking a lot more faceoffs on the PK. So we'll look at that. Defense pairings, they were the same. Ekholm, Bouchard, Nurse and Kulak, Broberg, and Ceci. So it looks like Desharnais won't play game one. I'm not ruling out Warren Foegele for game one. I don't know which line, because I know he's holding a spot for Kane. We'll see how healthy Kane is or not, but I won't be shocked if we see Foegele in game one. So we'll get to all that and more on The Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
Hey, sports fans, we've got a clear choice for you. At Crystal Glass, we provide customers with the perfect glass for any job. From home to auto and even commercial, installation or repairs, we're your team. Call 310-GLASS or visit crystalglass.ca. Crystal Glass.
The playoffs are wild. We all know that. And this year, Play Alberta is making it even wilder. Make a deposit with promo code Gregor50 to snag a $50 free sports bet with your next deposit. Get ready for unbeatable promotions throughout the playoffs with 10+ odds boost on every Oilers playoff game. Score a chance to win a pair of lower bowl or even exclusive sweet tickets for an Oilers playoff game just by making a bet on an Oilers playoff game at playalberta.ca. Bonus terms and conditions apply.
Heavy hauling in the worst of climates can be dreadful. Take the stress off the job with AccuSteel Heavy Haul Trailers. They redefine heavy hauling with premium heavy haul trailers designed, manufactured, and battle tested in the harshest of conditions. And if your heavy haul trailer has issues, their full service and frame inspections will tell you exactly what's wrong and why. They take the guessing out of repair work with quality engineered frame repairs that get you back working quick. Discover the difference at AccuSteel.ca.
CW Eves Troughing is busy. That's why they're looking for experienced troughers to run one of their trucks. To get paid top rates, contact CW Eves Troughing at 780-435-1492 or email info@cweves.com.
Move Water is your one-stop shop for all things water. From freshwater to wastewater, we've got the pumps and solutions to keep your water moving where it matters most.
Move Water, your water solution experts.
Visit movewater.ca today.
You adore your Audi, value your Volkswagen, baby, or Beamer. But some of that love fades when repairs take several days and tons of cash for the dealership to do their magic. Let Cochran's Automotive rekindle the flame. They'll professionally repair your import, usually in one day. Audi, BMW, Mercedes, Volkswagen, Honda, and Toyota. Cochran's Automotive will return her to mint condition. Open at 7 a.m. Let Cochran's Automotive repair your automotive air conditioning before things heat up. Cochran's Automotive. 780-452-5001.
Warmer, brighter days can make something. Booster Juice is busting out booster mixers, the summer fixers. Cold, tasty sippers in 5 vibrant varieties. The Mango Teaser, Berry Teaser, Almighty Acai, Game Set Matcha, and Oranges and Cream. Try all 5 and brighten your day a sip at a time. And try the Cookies and Cream Booster Ball, the yummy little bundle of almond butter, maple syrup, coconut, and gluten-free cookies. Visit a Booster Juice near you today or download the Booster Rewards app.
Experience the future of car shopping at Windermere Chrysler. The floor-to-ceiling windows in our stunning new showroom bathe every sleek model in natural light. But that's not all. While you relax in our customer lounge, peek through the unique viewing window into the service area. Watch our expert team at work, ensuring your vehicle is in top form. Plus, every service appointment includes a complimentary tire and wheel alignment analysis and a full car wash and vacuum.
The choice is clear.
It's Windermere.
Visit windermeredodge.ca.
Rev up your engines for an afternoon of fun at Cars for a Cause. Get up close and personal with hundreds of classic and collector vehicles. Enjoy live music from the Metro Nomad and check out the food trucks, ice cream vendors, and the Omen Brewing Beer Tent. Tickets are $20. Kids 12 and under get in free. All proceeds support the Parkinson Association of Alberta. June 15th at Yesterday's Auto Gallery on 51st Avenue. For more info, visit parkinsonassociation.ca.
Just after 2:25. How are you? Jason Gregor, Connor Halley, Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube and Facebook. Hope you're having an awesome day as you make your way through Hump Day and getting set. NBA Finals tip off tomorrow. NHL Finals on Saturday. You've got a big weekend. You've got the home opener for the Riverhawks on Friday night. And then, of course, they've got a Saturday 1 o'clock game. The Elks will kick off their season at 2 o'clock on Saturday. And then, of course, the Oilers and the Panthers at 6:20. So, man, there is lots going on in the sporting world, which will be great. Hey, it's a great time of year. Well, let's be honest, Oilers fans. It's not, hey, you don't get here every year. That's a fact. I've been here since 18 years. So you enjoy it while you can. It'll probably be stressful and exciting and everything else. We've had a few texts wondering, hey, Gregor, I see they're putting up a midway. Do you think that will still be there for game 3? I'm curious from Frank. No, Frank, my understanding is that midway, that's something that was, planned a few years out. And so it'll be in that parking lot. It's directly east of Rogers Place. And I think it gets set up and it goes tomorrow through until Sunday night. And then it's done. So now I can't say for certain if they would have that whole space cleared for game 2. But you got to remember, game 1, the watch party, you have people inside the building, 16,000. And you can have around, I think it's close to 4,000 or 5,000 people outside in the plaza. So you'll still have that. And I can safely assume by game 3, the Thursday night game in Edmonton, that area, that parking lot where they have the big stage and everything set up, that should be back and ready to roll for game 3, for those wondering. Let's get to the oil report now, brought to you by VolvoCarsEdmonton.com. You can save $6,000 right now on all new and demo 2024 XC60 recharge plug-in hybrid models at Canada's #1 Volvo dealership, VolvoCarsEdmonton.com. As Tyler Yaremchuk from Oilers Nation and Daily Faceoff joins us. Ty, how you doing?
I am doing good. Greg's just packing up my studio here in downtown Edmonton, getting ready to head out to Florida tonight.
Oh, are you taking a red eye again?
I am red eye to Atlanta, and then from Atlanta to Fort Lauderdale, so I can be in for tomorrow to do my show at 2:00 Eastern, noon Mountain.
Oh, fun. Well, maybe are you guys going to take as much of a milk run as you took last time?
Sadly, our run home is pretty bad. It's we got to leave Fort Lauderdale at 11. We go to New York, LaGuardia for 4.5, 5 hours, and then Toronto for another 4 or 5 hours, and then finally home.
Oh my God.
I don't know why we do it to ourselves, but it's the playoffs.
Do you have an extra day off in between games? Can't you get back quicker? Or easier? Because when we went to the draft, we just flew I can't remember if it was Colorado or Dallas, one of the two we flew into and then just transferred from there. No, they just have like a one stopper.
There is, but they were like over 2 times the price the first time we looked. So we decided to be good company men and take the long road. But we have like the flex ticket. So if the prices move, we can adjust. And you better believe I'm watching that thing like a day trader in the stock market. I'm on my app every 2 seconds.
Oilers unveil what looks to be not 100%, but we can see the lines. It looks like Broberg's going to be in, which I think a lot of us thought for game 1. Holloway back with Draisaitl skating there today, and Fogle was there. Kane, if Knobloch, who hasn't misled on anything, says, hey, Kane's going to play. To me, it makes sense to have that big, heavy line to kind of match up against the Tkachuk-Bennett line. But I am intrigued to see Adam Henrique with Brown and Janmark, because Brown and Janmark, they've been really good. And I would argue that is the third line now.
I think it's without a doubt the third line, and I'll be fascinated to see kind of how Chris Knobloch uses them, because Adam Henrique, as he came back into the lineup and as that series against Dallas went on, he was good in the faceoff dots. So I wonder if Knobloch will be, not shy to use those guys in the defensive zone. We saw Brown and Janmark both out late in game 6 protecting that lead, and if he's leaning on them a lot in the defensive zone, maybe there's a chance that trio actually ends up drawing a decent amount of Alexander Barkov. No, like that could be an interesting matchup that sort of develops with how Knobloch could use them in terms of zone starts.
Yeah, well, I think that, that Lundell line's solid, but so are the Oilers. Like, I'm very excited to see this matchup. I think it's going to be hotly contested. I think it's, it's going to be very tight. I'd be surprised if we have a blowout game in here. I guess it's always possible, but, I'd be surprised. Two pretty good teams that have both been good teams here since January 1st, right? Like they've got, I think, the second and third best points percentage in the NHL since January 1st. So, probably not a huge shock that they are there. There's I get the whole Barkov talk, but it's almost like when I see people, oh yeah, it's Barkov, and they're like, well, McDavid's got to handle Barkov, and I'm like, okay, but Barkov's got to handle McDavid people, like. He hasn't faced McDavid in the playoffs, like, because there's no other McDavid. Zibanejad's not even he's not in the postal code of McDavid. So I find that part rather interesting.
Yeah, and along those lines too, we're hearing a lot of like, oh, how are the Oilers going to be able to handle this tough physical forecheck of Florida? It's not like anything they've dealt with before, and I just feel like there's this weird conversation about how's Edmonton going to handle Florida? How are they going to handle Florida? And I love what you said. How's Florida going to handle Edmonton? Because the Rangers, two of their best offensive players, Chris Kreider and Mika Zibanejad, were held pointless through 4 or 5 games of that last series. Like, it was not good for them. The Oilers' big guns are not going to be held pointless through 4 or 5 games of this Stanley Cup final. As much as, yes, Florida's going to be meaner than Dallas and they're going to be aggressive, they're going to get under your skin and all of that stuff. Florida hasn't dealt with the skill level Edmonton has. They haven't played a team that's close to that yet. So there seems to be this big conversation about what do the Oilers need to do. People are saying, do you play Vinny in game 1 because you want that physicality and that toughness to counteract Florida? And I kind of like what Chris Knobloch said the other day. Like, I'm going to play the best guys and the guys that give us a chance to win. And for me, Philip Broberg, sure, he might not be as tough physically as Vinny Desharnais, and he might not bring anything in that area when it comes to going up against the Panthers, but he's going to help you get the puck out of your zone a lot cleaner. He's not going to let Florida set up their cycle as easy. So I think I like the approach Knobloch seems to be taking of, yeah, let Florida do their thing. If all the outside noise is about, oh, how are the Oilers going to adjust? Let's turn the conversation to how's Florida going to adjust to Edmonton.
Yeah. Well, I look at Barkov in that series and it was, they shut Zibanejad down. Now they did. But Barkov was on the ice in 6 games for 1 goal for and 1 goal against. So he broke even. Great. Now, if he can find a way to break even against McDavid, that'd be a big win. But if all you're doing is saying, hey, he's just there to shut down Zibanejad, but not produce anything, if you're asking your top line center to have be on the ice for 1 goal for in a 6-game series against McDavid, I would take Edmonton's chances all day long.
Totally. And I mean, sure, if best case scenario for Florida in that matchup is, Barkov and McDavid break even in a game. Okay, then on top of that, Florida also needs Sam Bennett to break even with Leon Draisaitl. And then on top of that, you need to win the special teams matchup against the Edmonton Oilers and their power play, which is starting to get hot, and their penalty kill, which is on a historic run. Like, it just feels like a lot of the best case scenarios people are lining up for the Florida Panthers involve, like you said, breaking even in certain areas. And it's like, okay, sure, if your best case scenario and Barkov McDavid is breaking even, great. That's a win for you. But then you're also hoping you do better than break even in those other key matchups, which also don't favor you. I honestly, like, I'm looking at the books, and I know Play Alberta's in the same boat with having the Oilers as underdogs here. I don't agree with the fact that the Oilers are underdogs. I think this series, although it's very close to 50-50, when I look at some key areas, I think the Oilers deserve to be favorites here.
Ooh. Yeah, see, I see it almost as like a pick'em series, right? Like I see strengths on both sides, but the 2 wild cards for me, when you have good teams, and the Edmonton Oilers right now are a good team. Anybody who thinks they're not decent defensively isn't paying attention. Anybody who doesn't think they have depth isn't paying attention. The one thing Edmonton still has, when we go through every element, special teams, is you have 2 elite producers in McDavid and Draisaitl, and even Bouchard. But I'll just stick with those 2 because they've done it for 5 years. And Florida doesn't have that. So how do they counter it? That's my question.
Yeah, I think that's fair. You mentioned Bouchard. This has been kind of my question of the day. I've thrown it out to Frank. I threw it out to everyone who joined my show today. Who has the best defenseman in this series? Not group of D-men, but who's the best singular defenseman in this series? Is it Bouchard or is it Forsling?
Well, I'll say this. Their skill sets are different. Forsling, to me, he might be the new Jacob Slavin as far as a defender. How he defends with his stick is unreal. And he's such a freak athlete. Warren Fogle told me that when he was in Carolina and they were doing the the tests in training camp and the VO2 test and everything, he goes, Forsling was an absolute freak, like off the charts, killing everybody. And a lot of the players were kind of surprised when he got put on waivers. Now, they had a really deep team, so they kind of understood it. But they're like, this guy was just an animal, according to Fogle, right? Like his number, and this is like a guy who's in pretty good shape himself, but just saying, so he's just like a freak athlete in that regard. But Bouchard, obviously, Forsling doesn't come close to the offensive capabilities of Bouchard, right? I think Forsling's a better defender. Bouchard's a better offensive guy. And Forsling's okay offensively, and I think Bouchard's improved a lot defensively. So I would still probably lean to Bouchard, because if we're going to say who's the best defense, when you got to do all 3 areas of the ice.
Yeah, and I think the gap on the offensive side is so big, kind of like what you're getting at there. The gap offensively is so big, and Forsling, while he is better in his own end, doesn't quite make up for it. So, yeah, I think the defenseman who is going to have the biggest impact on the series is Bouchard, and then the other side of it is the top pairings are both very, very good, and two wild cards and two guys who've both really struggled at points in these playoffs, Darnell Nurse and Brandon Montour, right? They're each playing with a guy, and I mean, Kulak and Mikkola, if you want to call that a saw-off, sure, in terms of just the direct matchup. I know they're playing the opposite sides, but Montour versus Nurse, whichever one of them, if one of them can find their peak form in this series, it's going to be a massive difference maker. It'll be whoever has the better second pairing, right?
Well, Edmonton needs Nurse to play like he did the last 3 games against Dallas, right? Because when he did there, like that became a big advantage for Edmonton because their top pair was very good, but now you had another pair led by Nurse, and they were exceptional. So that to me, yeah, it's fair. That is, and I said at the start of the playoffs, if the Oilers were going to win, they needed good contributions from Ceci and Nurse. And it didn't start out that way, but Cody Ceci's actually been quite good since game 5 against Vancouver. And Nurse, it's 3 games now against Dallas. And if he plays like that, that's a huge advantage for the Edmonton Oilers because it gives them more steady minutes from their back end.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, when Nurse is at his best, he's pushing play the other way. He's jumping up in the rush. He's a handful for the other team. And it's, people always say defense wins championships, but the cliche I'll throw right back at them for this series is that the best defense is a good offense. If Bouchard's moving the puck out well, if Nurse and Kulak are transporting the puck well, if Broberg continues to be a steady breakout guy for this team, they just won't spend as much time in their D zone. You look at the breakdowns against Dallas, that game where they blew the lead in game 3, and how many of those goals was there a breakdown at the blue line trying to get out of the zone, and 20 seconds later, it's in the back of their own net. So if Edmonton can just avoid those mistakes, cleanly break the puck out of their zone and push it the other way, Florida won't be able to attack them on the cycle, which is something they're really good at.
Yeah. Tyler Yaremchuk joins us. Ty, who's going to be your unexpected hero, if there is one, for Edmonton in this series?
Oh, man, there's a part of me that kind of wants to say Darnell Nurse just because we know when he's rolling offensively, he's sneaky. He can throw in a puck from the blue line. He knows how to jump up in the rush and be effective. I mean, we've seen him score overtime winners in 3-on-3 OT. We've seen him score backdoor tap-ins and wristers from the blue line. So there's a part of me, and I can't tell if it's just hope because I like the player and I'd love to see the bounce back story. But I hope we see something really cool and really special from Darnell Nurse in this series. We mentioned the impact it could have, but the storyline side of it is something I would love to see play out as well. And there's another part of me that wonders about Adam Henrique. He's presumably only getting healthier and healthier kind of as it's gone on. And how good was 6 days off for Adam Henrique to get back to maybe even exactly 100%? I know they were saying he was, 98%, 100% in that series, but when you're coming back from what he's coming back from, I think it takes a little bit longer than that to really start to feel like yourself. He's got Stanley Cup final experience as a rookie with the Devils. Maybe it's a big series for Adam Henrique. Couple clutch goals.
Ty, fly safe. Chat with you tomorrow.
See you, Greg. Thanks.
There you go. That's Tyler Yaremchuk from Oilers Nation and Daily Face Off. It's 2:39. When we come back, the Doctor, 5-time Stanley Cup winner, Randy Gregg will join us. We're talking baseball, though. The prospects, they are set for their home opener this weekend. We'll talk a little ball and hockey with Randy on the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
It's time to bring the Stanley Cup back to Canada for the first time since 1993. Let's go, Oilers! Bring it home. This is Sports 1440.
A solid financial plan is made up of more than just investments. Investments are an important part, but you need a more comprehensive approach. Vincent Pearson at Weird Pearson Akel & Associates Private Wealth Management understands that. He can help build a plan that includes retirement, estate planning, personal insurance, tax strategies, and yes, investments. Talk to him today and see the difference a real financial plan makes. Weird Pearson Akel & Associates. Call 780-988-4119 or visit weirdadvisoryteam.com.
Hey, Leduc, can leading edge physiotherapy help you? Well, this is a question I face every day. Let me answer the best I can. Do you have a pain or injury to your toe, foot, ankle, knee, hip, lower back, middle back, neck, shoulder, elbow, wrist, hand, or finger? Are you dealing with a sprain, strain, fracture, tendonitis, bursitis, arthritis, dizziness, balance issues, surgery, whiplash, or headache? Okay, I can't list all the problems that we can help in leading edge physio in under 30 seconds, and I can't promise we fix everyone. But I can promise that we'll combine our experience, skills, technology, and hands-on care to give you an edge. Life shouldn't hurt. Find us at leadingedgephysio.com.
You got a go-to coffee spot, a trusted barber, even a lucky game day jersey. But when it's about looking your absolute best, there's only one name you need. Mr. Dirk. Family run since 1939. We're experts in crafting impeccable tailor-made suits and offering a wide variety of everyday styles. Pair that with personalized one-on-one fittings and the convenience of on-site tailoring. Mr. Dirk elevates your style game. Visit our Edmonton store or explore MrDirk.com. Score big on style with Mr. Dirk.
Gather around the radio, kiddies, for the best time of day. It's Oodle Noodle time. Listen in this week as your noodle hero battles the barbarous Bobby Burger. Now sing along. You know the word. Oodle Noodle time. Oodle Noodle time. You know what time it is now. Get up and give me your best Oodle Noodle dance. Your best time of day is Oodle Noodle time.
I'm Colin Livingston, president of Cantork. Since 2016, we've been at the forefront of hydraulic torque wrenches in Canada. I'm delighted to share our latest venture, in-house production for quicker turnaround, superior quality, and heightened versatility. Experience excellence at Cantork.com.
In 1973, deep in the basement of an Edmonton family home, an elite team of specialized forces came together to form Action Electrical.
Action Electrical Divisions, assemble!
Projects team reporting.
Service team reporting.
Testing team reporting.
Energy team reporting.
Supercharged with skills in their electrical fields and grounded by strong family values. Facing an electrical menace? Call on the men and women of Action. Operating throughout Alberta at actionelectrical.net.
0% for 60 months. I'm not kidding. Where? Wolf GMC Buick. And it's GMC's Adventure Calls event. Pick out a new 2024 Sierra with finance rates as low as 0% for up to 60 months. If you're a Costco member, you get another $1,200 off purchase price on any 2024 in-stock Sierra. We're talking half tons, 3/4 tons, even 1 tons. If you'd rather an SUV, we've got low lease payments and an awesome selection on GMC terrain. So get in today and get your adventure on. Wolf GMC Buick. We're making it easy.
Whether you're gearing up for a corporate golf tournament or just taking a client out for a route, get your branded shirts, jackets, golf caps, and prizing at Elite Promotional Marketing. Before you tee off, make sure you head to ElitePromoMarketing.com.
Country Club Tour has added a new first-class golf course to our featured facilities.
Goose Hummock Golf Resort is a gorgeous course with natural forests and interlocking ponds.
And since it's just a short drive north of Edmonton near Gibbons, a round fits my schedule any day of the week.
Book a round or a stay-and-play getaway in Goose Hummock's RV Park with over 100 lots.
This summer, I'm going to let loose at the Goose.
For more info about Goose Hummock Golf Resort, visit countryclubtour.com.
Embrace the drive at GMC. Right now, lease the 2024 Terrain SLE from $199 bi-weekly. That's like $99 weekly at 5.9% for 24 months with $3,350 down on an ultra-low kilometer lease. Get out to the best views with a 1.5-liter turbocharged engine and listen to all your favorite tunes along the way with available Amazon Alexa built in. Or maybe even no tunes at all. Visit your local GMC dealer for details.
.240, welcome back. Jason Gregor, Connor Halley, Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube and Facebook. It's a busy time of the year, man. It's a great time for sports fans. What a week. You got the Riverhawks home opener on Friday night. You have then they're playing a Saturday matinee game at 1. You got the Elks season opener at 2. The game 1 series opener, the Stanley Cup final at 6:20 on Saturday. So you got a bevy of choices for sports fans. And our next guest, something tells me he'll be heavily interested in both the diamond and the ice as we get to our baseball report brought to you by Legacy Heating and Cooling, home of the no payments, no interest for 1 year on your AC unit. Stay cool all summer at legacyheating.ca. And we are joined by one of the owners, one of the biggest fans of the Edmonton Riverhawks, of course, also happens to be a 5-time Stanley Cup champion, Randy Gregg. Randy, welcome back to the show, man. How you doing?
Well, I'm doing great, thanks. My pleasure. It's nice to share all these great sporting experiences with you.
Well, Randy, hey, let's talk a little bit about the Riverhawks for you. We'll put the owner hat on again. Like last year, you guys had a very successful campaign. Team was competitive on the field, but you really, I thought, connected with your fans, got them to come to the stadium. And, how's it looking leading into this year as far as, when it comes to fans and the excitement around the Riverhawks?
Well, it's really exciting. First of all, I want to clarify one thing. Being a part owner means I'm the guy that gets to take out the garbage at the end of the night. So, it's kind of a labor of love. My wife always says, why don't you take the garbage out at our house? Why do you always do it down there? And, that's one of the beautiful things when you have a background of baseball. Baseball is a magical sport. It's a hard sport to understand because there's technicalities. But once you understand the game, it really is a beautiful sport. So we're really excited about being down here. And whether I have to clean up the garbage or not or watch the game, I'm really happy to do that. Yeah, you're absolutely right. The Riverhawks, one of our mantras is that we're a community organization. After the first year, we had $20 tickets, and people said, you could charge $25. And we said, sure, we could, but we're not going to. We're going to charge $20 because I don't care about you or me. We can afford it. I care about that young family, or maybe the family isn't able to get out to a game at more cost. We want them to come down and enjoy the experience. We realize that these are young college players that want to make Major League Baseball. They're not there yet, but they're very respectful. They're collegiate athletes, so they have an educational background, and they really represent us well. And, our coach, Jake Lanferman, has done a really good job to try to bring them together because it is only a 2.5-month season. But I look out and I think, boy, if I could take all of them home and keep them in my house, I probably would. I can't. My wife won't let me, but I probably would.
Give me your thoughts as a guy, because you're a very good baseball player yourself, Randy. So I know, it's a love and a passion of yours, baseball itself. How's the team shaping up?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It's probably a better baseball player than a hockey player. But the problem is if you're going to be a good baseball player and potentially play major league, you have to go to the American colleges. And in my case, I was in medical school at the time, so I didn't really want to give that gig up too much. So I said, I'll play a little hockey and for a couple of years, see how it went. So I ended up picking a pretty good team years ago. But what's interesting is, we have over 700 Canadian ball players playing in the NCAA down in the States. So Canadian ball players are great athletes. And what we want to do is not only profile them, we want to bring up a lot of young American players that will augment our team. But I think what the fans will see is they'll see a lot of energy, enthusiasm, respect for the game. We hope respect for the city, and a great way for them to go back to Kansas or Pepperdine or Colorado and say, you know what, you guys, you can go to the West Coast League, but there's one place you have to go. It's a place called Edmonton, Alberta. And as a native Edmontonian, that's one of my goals. We want to make sure these young men really enjoy their experience. And hey, nothing wrong with winning, as we can see with the Oilers. Fans love wins, but our goals are higher than that. We want to make sure that the fans get their full value. We want to make sure that RE/MAX Field is utilized to the best of its capacity. And we want to go out and have some fun in the nice hot sun.
The one thing that's changed a little bit, I was looking at your schedule this season, right? Like there's lots of, you're home for 6, you're on the road. It's basically just home stands and road trips. It's not split up as much. And I'm assuming that, that's a cost control by the league. I know this is the first year kind of doing it. Do you think it's better?
Well, not necessarily. It was interesting when we tried to get the franchise, somebody said to me, Randy, he said, Edmonton is not in the West Coast. We're in the middle of the prairies. I said, I know that, but this West Coast League is too good not to try to attract to become part of it here in Edmonton. Usually takes about 3 years to get the franchise. It took 3 months because they realized that not only was, I think our ownership model was fairly strong, but really it's a fantastic facility. The people at Edmonton have shown for years and years that they support all kinds of sports, which is really good. And so it's been really nice. We have to fly these teams in, we have to fly our teams back out. But the business model works. We're not in this to make $1 million and, I'm going to live in the same house I lived in Edmonton for a long time. We want to make sure we can make a difference in the community. And one of the really nice things is not only do we like the Riverhawks, but we now have something called the Edmonton Collegiate Hawks. These are young fellows and hopefully girls sometime who go to Grant McKeown, they go to university, go to Concordia. Maybe they're not good enough to go to the States, but they love baseball. We give them a fob. They come down here, work out when they want, and we have a program that started in the first year with 23, last year with 35. This year we got 60 young men out there who might be your neighbors who just love baseball. And we're really proud of that component of our organization as well.
Randy Gregg joins us, one of the co-owners of the Edmonton Riverhawks. You'll finish up your 6-game road trip to start the season in Ridgefield tonight, and then day off tomorrow, and then you're home against the Mayo on Friday night, and then the Saturday afternoon game has changed to a 1 o'clock start time to not go head against the Oilers, which makes sense. What kind of special events do we have planned for the home opener on Friday?
So I should really let that be discussed by Steve Hogel, our general manager. You know, there's a rumor around our office that Steve doesn't know a curveball from a slider, which is great because I know that. He knows about entertainment. He realizes that there's probably 1,500 people in Edmonton that would sit in the corner and watch baseball, and there's 1 million people that want to be entertained. So Steve has done a wonderful job. We'll take care of the baseball stuff. He's got lots of in-game events. We've been so fortunate to have so many nice corporate partners phone us and say, I went to a game, how can I be involved? It's been a wonderful partnership that way. And so I think the fans will enjoy the game. They'll enjoy the nice cold beer that's not too expensive, the hot dogs and things like that. But the on-game experience is going to be quite something. So I'm not going to divulge anything, but there might be a non-fixed wing aircraft coming in on Friday night. That's the only thing I'm going to share with people.
All right. Little teaser. I like it. Rand, I have to ask you, of course, your love for baseball, and you say you're a better baseball player and a hockey player, but which is saying a lot considering the career you had as a hockey player. Give me your thoughts as a very steady defenseman for many years, the improvement in the Oilers' defensive play when you watch the games. What's impressed you about them so far in their run to the Cup?
So for anybody that's listening that's over 100 years old, you might remember the 1980s. And it was interesting because we were able to experience that. And there was Grant here in the back just taking care of business. And nobody cared about him because all we wanted to do was score goals. And Grant never complained. He's a Hall of Famer. He's the most wonderful goaltender I've ever seen. Andy Moe came in, Bill Ranford, same thing. But then we started to think, you know what, if we really want to beat the great teams, if we want to beat the New York Islanders, the Philadelphia Flyers, we need to play as a team. And all of a sudden, not only did the defense start to become more defensive-minded, but the forward started too. Defense is a six-man unit, as is offense is a six-man unit. And so all of a sudden, Grant became even better than he was because he had defensemen to clear the front of the net. He had forwards that were coming back and taking their checks. And so I think it's a learning process. I mean, who would not want somebody like Connor McDavid or Leon Draisaitl to play that amazing offense? But you can almost see it in their eyes that he's saying, I want more than the scoring championship. I want that ring. And to do that, I got to do my job in the defensive zone. So, it's easy to watch the great goal scoring and what magical plays that these young men do. I love to watch the defense. I love to see what they do in the defensive end because the defensive teams will win the championships. After saying that, as a fan, the TV goes on at 7 o'clock. We enjoy it. We have some fun. By this time, those players will be so fatigued. I can remember playing in the playoffs against Calgary, where literally after a game, we'd be sitting in the Saddle Dome, and I couldn't bend over to take my skates off. I was so tired. I looked over, and there was Kevin Lowe and Lee Foglin and Don Jack. Same thing. We were exhausted, and that's one of the beauties of it is that you have to give absolutely everything. You forget about your wife. You forget about your kids. You forget about this is the challenge. And it's nice to see that these young men are starting to realize that it is that commitment it's going to take to win the championship. So we'll be cheering for them for sure.
Well, Randy, it'll be great. You know what? People can watch a little baseball, enjoy kind of maybe, because if they want to, they get too stressed leading up to the game now, they can just go sit outside, have a beer, and popcorn, a hot dog at 1 o'clock, and then have lots of time to get home to watch game one on Saturday night. Continued success with the Riverhawks. We look forward to the season. Appreciate your time.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Good talking with you.
That is Randy Gregg, of course, the one of the co-owners of the Riverhawks. If you haven't been to a Riverhawks game, I highly recommend going. Like, honestly, it is. My son went. And he loved it. Like they have so many, and the thing he liked the most was at the end of the game, the kids get to run on the field. Like now he's like, we're not leaving, Dad. Once you knew you could do that every game, well, now they want to do it all the time. And it's a small little thing, but it's the little things like kids get a real big thrill of that. And they have lots of kind of cool in-house entertainment things that go on, as you should. Like minor league baseball, for years, that's a big reason what's made it successful in a lot of different places. The baseball is one element. And as Randy said, like there's some diehard people they care about all the baseball, which is great. But then you have other people who just enjoy a nice day out. Like there's still very few things better. I don't care if it's at the Riverhawks or if it's the Elks, when you're sitting outside, you got a beer in one hand, but you got a hot dog, popcorn, ice cream, and it's just relaxing. It's outstanding. So you can do either one on Saturday. But the Riverhawks game Friday night's a home opener. Little teaser there from Randy on a special event coming in. That's nice. And then 1 o'clock, the game was originally going to be at 7, but they obviously don't want to go head to head. So they're going to go at 1 o'clock on Saturday. And you can get your tickets at Edmonton Riverhawks.com. Check it out. They are home. It'll start actually a 9-game homestand. They play Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Then they're off next Thursday, the 13th. And then they got the next weekend, the 14th, 15th, and 16th. Then they're back on the road. And really, that's how their season is. They got like 6 road games, 9 home games, 6 on the road, 6 at home, 6 on the road. And then they actually finish, I think, with a 9-game road trip after a 9-game homestand. So there you go. Check it out this year, the Riverhawks. You'll enjoy it. It is Wednesday afternoon. And coming up, a segment that has become very popular with many of our listeners. You enjoy it. Who is it Wednesday? Where we always I'll be honest, we try to keep the hints a little bit more difficult, because if I gave some that we would give for other people, I think it would be too obvious. So we'll give you a final little guess. Our next guest, of course, did play in the AJHL. He also then had a 4-year college career. Not true if he took basket weaving or not. We'll find out. But I did have a 4-year college career. Graduated, funny enough. Not in the same pre-med course as Strud, but somewhere else. Did spend 3 seasons in the American League. Well, 2.5, I guess. And then had a very successful NHL career. Did play some time in Europe. And scored probably the most important shorthanded goal in Edmonton Oilers franchise history. You know who it is? Find out next. Let's get to Connor Halley and a Sports 1440 update brought to you by Legacy Heating and Cooling. Home with no payments, no interest for 1 full year on your AC unit. Stay cool all summer. LegacyHeating.ca.
This is a Sports 1440 update.
Edmonton Oilers forward Evander Kane will play in Game 1 of the Stanley Cup Final on a Saturday evening. That comes from Oilers head coach Chris Knobloch after Kane hobbled off the ice during Game 6 of the Western Conference Final on Sunday. He played just .439 against the Stars in the 2-1 victory. Did not skate today, with Warren Fogle taking his spot in the lineup. And Lane Lambert is joining Craig Berube's coaching staff as an associate coach with the Maple Leafs. Prior to joining the Leafs, he spent time with the Islanders, the Capitals, and the Nashville Predators. Major League Baseball today, the Jays are in action. They'll take on the Baltimore Orioles once again. First pitch just after 5 o'clock. Couple games underway right now in the 6th. The Reds trail the Rockies 5-4. Giants up on the D-backs 6-1 in the 3rd. Midway through the 4th, scores between the Phillies and the Brewers. Mets Nationals delayed due to rain. Elsewhere tonight, Pirates, Dodgers, the Rays in Miami, Yankees host the Twins, White Sox battle the Cubbies, Rangers take on the Tigers, Mariners up against the Athletics, and some finals for you. Astros fall at home to the Cards 4-2, and the Red Sox beaten up on the Braves 9-0. Guardians, Royals postponed due to rain. The Edmonton Riverhawks in action, taking on the Ridgefield Raptors once again before heading home for their opener on Friday. First pitch set tonight for 7:35. And in the WNBA's Commissioner Cup, Wings host the Aces at 6. And at 8 o'clock, the Lynx head to LA to take on the Sparks. And for the tennis world, Novak Djokovic will undergo surgery to repair a torn meniscus in his right knee, which forced him to withdraw from the French Open. The surgery will put the 37-year-old's status for Wimbledon in doubt, with the major at the All England Club just a month away. Coming up in hour 2 of the Jason Gregor Show, it's another edition of Who Is It Wednesday. I'm Connor Halley. This has been a Sports 1440 update.
Sports 1440, a Stingray radio station broadcasting on Treaty 6 territory.
Download the free iHeartRadio app and listen to CKJR wherever you go.
The Junior Prospects Hockey League is entering its third season of gameplay. The JPHL now offers academic and athletic opportunities in the 14U, 15, 17, and 18U age divisions. All JPHL games are broadcast live on Silent Ice TV with a showcase-style game schedule and high level of travel and accommodations for its team, staff, and players. To learn more about why the JPHL is the fastest growing elite hockey academy stream in Western Canada, visit juniorprospectshockeyleague.com.
Daneyko and Jason are friends. Hey, buddy.
Buddy.
Except when they talk hockey.
Mm-hmm. Edmonton had all those first overall picks, and they still can't win.
Yeah, but we still beat you. Battle of Alberta champs, baby.
But ask them who makes the best beef jerky in Alberta, and they'll tell you.
Wilhauk beef jerky.
It might be the only thing Alberta hockey fans can agree on.
Pick up some Wilhauk beef jerky today in Leduc, Spruce Grove, and West Edmonton Mall.
Mr. Ruther does a TED Talk.
Thank you for coming today. Let's talk about it. Pressure. Everyone in this room feels pressure. But let me tell you something about pressure. I'd rather feel too much pressure than not enough. You know why? Because low pressure often means you have corroded pipes, impaired water lines, or a calcified shower head. And who needs that? I'm Mr. Ruther, and this has been my TED Talk.
For an inspirational plumber, call Mr. Ruther.
The basketball and hockey seasons are heating up. Baseball is just getting started, and we've got you covered with around-the-clock sports coverage. Tune in for Fox Sports tonight after 9 and all weekend long. Sports 1440 has you covered.
Try the new extra-large New York-style crispy pepperoni pizza only from Papa John's. Get you some of that crispy, curly, cuppy pepperoni on top of an extra-large New York-style crust pizza with creamy tomato sauce and a 3-cheese blend. This ain't around forever, so walk fast like NYC and order one now. The extra-large New York-style crispy pepperoni pizza for just $22.99, only at Papa John's. Better ingredients, better pizza, better get you some.
This spring, experience innovation on the road at Volvo Cars Edmonton. Right now, lease from 0.99% or save up to $4,000 on select models for qualifying loyal Volvo Cars Edmonton customers. Plus, save $5,000 on all new and demo 2024 XT60 Recharge plug-in hybrid models. Discover why we're Canada's only 13-time Volvo Excellence Award winner. Chat online at volvocarsedmonton.com or visit 1205 101st Street Southwest.
The playoffs are wild. We all know that. And this year, Play Alberta is making it even wilder. Make a deposit with promo code Gregor50 to snag a $50 free sports bet with your next deposit. Get ready for unbeatable promotions throughout the playoffs with 10+ odds boost on every Oilers playoff game. Score a chance to win a pair of Lower Bowl or even exclusive suite tickets for an Oilers playoff game just by making a bet on an Oilers playoff game at playalberta.ca. Bonus terms and conditions apply.
I'm Rick Showers from No Bull RV, and the used RV market is really heating up. That's good for us, of course, because we believe used RVs are better than new ones. But it's also good for you, because a packed lot at No Bull means you're more likely to find exactly what you're looking for in one visit.
But we offer so much more than finding the right one.
That's right, Bob. When you buy from No Bull, we walk you through every single component. Every button, every switch, we confirm with you that everything works, what it's capable of, and how to get the most from it. We even show you the best way to hook it up to your truck. And if you ever have a question, even weeks later, we're still here and happy to help.
Try to get that kind of service when you buy from a random guy off the street.
Good point, Bob. We also offer easy payments. It's just another reason you'll get the perfect RV without all the...
And that's No Bull. No Bull RV.
It's after 3 o'clock. Welcome back. Jason Gregor, Connor Halley with you on Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, and Facebook. The Gregor Show is always presented by PlayAlberta.ca, where you can get in the game. And hey, if you're feeling confident in your Edmonton Oilers, use the promo code Gregor50. They are the underdog. Get better odds. Promo code Gregor50 will get you a free $50 play with a minimum $5 purchase through until the playoffs end at PlayAlberta.ca. Also tonight, get your tickets, $60 million for Lotto 649. Whew. Imagine you win that. You better host a good Stanley Cup Finals party for sure. No question about it. Now, our next guest, many of you, I knew once I gave the one final hint, and many of you got it. Yes, indeed. Our Who Is It Wednesday guest, as I mentioned earlier, the most important shorthanded goal in Oilers franchise history, which occurred in Game 5 in overtime in Carolina. It was not a bad goal. Top shelf, shorthanded. Sending the Oilers back home for Game 6, which they won 4-0. That set up Game 7. Fernando Pisani, former 8th-round selection of the Edmonton Oilers in the 1996 NHL entry draft when he had finished up playing for the Saints in St. Albert at the time. Then went on to 4 seasons at Providence College. Started out with the Hamilton Bulldogs for a few seasons, then made his Oilers debut in 2002, 2003, 22 years ago. Pisey, how you doing?
I'm good, buddy. How you doing?
Hey, I'm great, man. 22 years. Jeez, getting old,
getting old. Yeah, lots of grays now. So,
man, you're like, it's 18 years ago, but I'm almost must feel like yesterday a little bit for you, just seeing the Oilers back in the Stanley Cup Final. And, when they think of the Stanley Cup Final, most people's first memory now isn't the Oilers of the 80s. It's the Oilers of 2006.
Yeah, it really dates you now. You start thinking about all the, the memories, and you see the feeds that come up of some of the moments that you forgot about, and you're like, wow, that I forgot that happened. But it's great to see the city excited again. I remember when we went through it, it was chaotic, it was loud, it was fun. But we were in a different spot. Nobody expected us to go the distance, and I think everybody had the hopes and anticipation that this group would do it. And, now they are here, and hopefully they do it.
Now, on Who Is It Wednesday, we will talk, of course, about 2006, but I always like to kind of go back in time a little bit further even. And so, you know what, you're a local kid, just growing up. When did you get the hockey bug right at a young age?
You know what, when I stepped on the ice, I was about 4 years old, and I started crying the first 5 minutes. And then my dad just kind of said, just go out there and try it, and have at it. And after that, I really didn't look back. It was something I loved doing, and even just sitting in the backyard and shooting balls against the net, and just it was something that I just truly had passion for, and it wasn't work to me when I was going out and working in the just getting better and practicing. So it was a lot of fun. And you think about all the, the friendships that you make throughout your hockey career and the people that you meet. It's truly an amazing experience for sure.
So you start out as a young guy, and, then you move up, and, you had as good of a minor career, as we call it, as amateur hockey. At what stage, because it was very different. There was no spring hockey back then when, you're a kid growing up, in the 80s, right? There's no spring hockey. Were you a big soccer guy too?
Yeah, in the summer I just played. It was hockey and soccer. Those were the two sports that I played, and there was definitely no spring hockey. And we weren't getting pulled out of school to go to tournaments on Thursdays and Fridays. So that definitely didn't happen, and it's obviously changed so much going through it with my boys now.
Was hockey always the one you loved more than soccer?
Yeah, you know what? Just growing up in that era.
An Italian guy, man. Like, I thought soccer.
Yeah, soccer. My dad caught the bug, and it just kind of spiraled down to me and my brother, and then we just had such a passion for it. And I, being in Edmonton and watching the Oilers and being spoiled with the cup teams that they had, so you kind of had no choice but to kind of fall in love with the sport for sure.
Was there, as a kid, did you have did you get to go to very many games?
No, I didn't go to any games.
Never went to a game as a kid?
No.
Okay.
No.
So had you ever had any interactions? Did you ever meet any of the players at any point, like come to your school or nothing like that?
You know what? I ran into, when I was a kid, I ran into Steve Smith at a wedding. So that was kind of
okay.
An awesome experience for me. I just kind of was in awe of him and how big he was and just kind of kept staring at him. And that was my really first experience with, running into an NHL player.
Now, so you go from that, then you make it to the Saints, right? Kind of your hometown team. Pretty big deal. Because back then, and even now, the NHL is a great goal, but for a lot of kids, you're from a smaller town, man. You get to play for the junior team. That's a pretty big deal, right? How was it for you lacing up for the Saints? And back in the old, now it's Jerome again a little bit. Back then it was the Aikensdale.
Yeah, it was an unreal experience playing, junior hockey close to home. I didn't have to leave, so that was, obviously great. But the whole getting drafted by, the Oilers at that time was really unheard of. And just how I found out and
how'd you find out?
Well, it was, just one of those things where I, Friday night and calling my buddy, or Saturday, I can't remember what day the draft fell on, but it was, calling him to see what was going on for the weekend. And his mom answered and she's like, "Congratulations, you were drafted by the Oilers." And I was caught off guard. I'm like, "What?" He's like, I said, "Are you sure?" And she doesn't know a lot about hockey, but she knows enough. And I'm like, "Well, where did you hear that? Where did you see it?" And then, I had to find out. I'm looking in the newspaper. I'm calling. You have to call the Journal back then and say, "Hey, can you tell me who the Oilers draft picks were?" And they never said my name. So I'm like, "Oh boy." And at that point, I think I called a few people and told them, I said, I think I was drafted by the Oilers. And then I find out that,
so the Journal didn't even have your name.
They didn't even have my name. I don't think they looked that far down the list. So, but yeah. And then, the whole experience of, finding out, and then it actually came, to fruition. And I remember going, getting a call, I think a few days later, and go to the Oilers office over there at the Kingsway. And, I'm waiting in the lobby. I got my, golf shirt on and dress pants and waiting to meet, some of the brass. And I think it was Prendergast calls me in and he just says, "Here's your jersey. We'll keep an eye on you for 4 years." Over the next 4 years. And I was like, "Awesome, thanks."
That's all he said. Nothing else. Oh my God.
That was it. So I was expecting, somewhat of a chat or a meeting, or
"Hey, we like this about your game."
Yeah, it was very short and sweet. It was I think the tag was still on or something. I was making sure I didn't even have the name on it, but so. And then from there, it was just kind of, that was all right, here we go now, and put the time in, work in, and then went to Providence College and had an amazing experience there. And, go to your first NHL camp from there, and you're kind of in awe of all the guys. Dougie Waite was there, and, I was kind of in awe of everybody, and just became a spectator and didn't really end up playing. I got cut the first cuts. And that was the first time I've actually been, truly cut. And so I go down to Hamilton and play one game, break my thumb. And so I don't have a contract. They could have just gassed me at that point and just said, go to the East Coast. But luckily they kept me around, and I was doing rehab while the team was on the ice practicing, and I'd show up before and then I'd leave while the guys were on the ice. And I didn't know anybody at the time. I had no idea who anybody was on the team. And then finally, one of the guys comes up to me. He's like, "Who are you? What are you doing here?" and stuff, right? I'm like, "Oh, I'm just waiting for my thumb to get better to practice." Because they put me in the other dressing room. So I wasn't with the team. I was in Hamilton. Yeah, Cops Coliseum.
So you're dressed by yourself?
I'm dressed because I would skate before the team went on, and then I'd come out and then do some physio, and then I'd leave and I'd go back to the hotel and just kind of wait there. And that was where you really understand and kind of look at yourself and say, "Do I really love this game?" Because it tested you.
Yeah, that
really tested me. And I was like, "You know what? I gotta grind it out. I gotta, give it an opportunity, give it a shot." And then I started to play some games and, got some opportunity. And then after that, just everything kind of fell into place.
So Who is your agent? How did you not have a contract before you come out of Providence and you so that's in 2000 and you go to your first camp, but you don't even have a contract.
Yeah, I had pretty good numbers in college, and the Oilers were
you're a point a game player your senior year,
and they just said come to camp and we'll just keep an eye on you and see how you do. And like I said, I just was in awe of everybody, and I didn't just go and play. Instead of you play timid. You're saying, is that Doug Waite? Do I hit him? I don't want to. You just too many. You're just kind of timid and playing a little bit reserved, and that was a good eye opener for me. Just saying, you know what, these guys are fighting for their jobs. I need to fight for mine, and that was a good eye opener for me. And it was definitely a good kick in the butt that I needed for sure.
Fernando Pisani, our guest today on Who Is It Wednesday. We'll take a quick break. We'll come back. We'll talk about returning from the broken thumb and then becoming pretty good point producer in the American League. And then, of course, making his NHL debut with the Edmonton Oilers in 2002, 2003 with a contract, which is always nice. That and more on The Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
Christensen Communities, the name in active adult living. Enjoy retirement living without compromise. At Christensen, we understand that each lifestyle is unique. We are committed to providing choice through optional dining, personal services, recreation programs, and care plans to suit your current and future needs. Enjoy maintenance-free living and build new friendships in a safe.
Fernando Pisani, our guest today on Who Is It Wednesday. We'll take a quick break. We'll come
on-site amenities and so much more. Find out more today about our communities across the province at cdlhomes.com.
You got a go-to coffee spot, a trusted barber, even a lucky game day jersey. But when it's about looking your absolute best, there's only one name you need: Mr. Dirk. Family run since 1939, we're experts in crafting impeccable tailor-made suits and offering a wide variety of everyday styles. Pair that with personalized one-on-one fittings and the convenience of on-site tailoring. Mr. Dirk elevates your style game. Visit our Edmonton store or explore MrDirk.com. Score big on style with Mr. Dirk.
Gather around the radio, kiddies, for the best time of day. It's Oodle Noodle time. Listen in this week as your noodle hero battles the barbarous Bobby Burger. Now sing along. You know the word. Oodle Noodle time. Oodle Noodle time. You know what time it is now. Get up and give me your best Oodle Noodle dance. Your best time of day is Oodle Noodle time.
I'm Ryan Nugent-Hopkins.
And I'm Zach Hyman.
And when we're not making juicy, sweet passes
or having my goals disallowed,
we're working for Legacy Heating and Cooling.
You know, guys used to call me a plumber.
And now they call you an AC repairman.
Nice.
Hey, guys, you're not here to fix air conditioners. You're here to sing the jingle.
Oh.
Well.
Okay.
Call Legacy. Call Legacy.
No payments and no interest for 1 year from qualified installers. Legacy Heating and Cooling.
AccuSteel heavy haul trailers have been providing highway and off-road custom trailers for over 25 years, bringing you innovative solutions for unconventional problems. They're your industry leader in engineered heavy haul trailer frame repairs, retrofits, rebuilds, and custom trailer fabrication. When you need to haul the largest machinery on the planet, they can do it with a premium engineered heavy haul trailer made right here in Alberta. They're 100% family owned, treating you like part of the family. Trust the experts at AccuSteel heavy haul trailers. Learn more at AccuSteel.ca. Hey Edmonton, ready to power up your projects with unbeatable strength and efficiency? Step into Edmonton Kubota, where our massive inventory meets all your needs. From rugged tractors and loaders to nimble mowers and utility vehicles, we've got the machines that work as hard as you do. And guess what? This month, we're rolling out exclusive deals that'll make your heart race faster than our engines. Drive down to Edmonton Kubota or visit EdmontonKubota.com to discover how we can boost your efficiency, productivity, and fun. Edmonton Kubota, powering your passion with every turn of the key.
Postseason is always exciting for hockey fans, but for GS, it's all about construction season. For 50 years, GS Construction has been laying the groundwork for your community, but they can't do it without the best team possible. GS Construction is scouting for experienced and motivated laborers, pipe layers or pipe layers helpers, lead hands, operators, top men or women, and a water and sewer foreman. Apply today and start working for the 2024 construction season. Visit gsconstruction.ca today.
Darling, you got to let me know. Should I stay or should I go?
We continue on. Jason Gregor, Connor Halley with you. They're on Sports 1440, Oilers Nation YouTube, and Facebook. Our big guest of the day today brought to you by the Female Super League, a new league that starts up in the fall for young women looking to continue and improve their development and skill set. For 12U and 14U players, go to femalesuperleague.com and get more information. As Fernando Pisani, he was 195th draft pick, 8th round in 1996. Clearly, the Edmonton Journal didn't scan low enough to see where he was when he called there to see if he got drafted or not. That's a classic story. Just a different. People are like, "What? What do you mean? It wasn't like instant on your phone?" No, it's totally different time back then. Then you went to Providence College for 4 years. You go to your first Oilers training camp, and you were telling us, I wasn't very good at all. Then you go to your first inter-squad game in the minors in Hamilton, and you break your thumb. Pretty serious. You're out for 8 weeks, and you're skating by yourself. Some of your teammates don't even know who you are. But you slugged it out, and then you got in the lineup, and you finally played, and you played, you had half a point a game as a rookie in the American League, which is, the American League's a tough league. Like, when you look back on it, like going from college or going from junior to the American League, some say that jump is harder than the jump from the AHL to the NHL. How was it for you?
Yeah, it's definitely a big jump. The guys are bigger, stronger, faster, and it was a lot of tough guys in that league. If you were playing on the, we had 3 lines, 2 extras, and they usually rotated a centerman in between there. And, the 2 extras were usually the heavyweights. So you're always hoping you never got matched up with those guys, because they just had one thing in mind. They were just trying to go out and do some damage. But yeah, it was definitely a big jump. And the hockey, the skill was just a couple notches above college for sure. But, I was pretty fortunate. Like the first year, I kind of fought tooth and nail to get into the lineup. And then once I started becoming a regular, Claude Julien was the coach, and Claude was a, really good coach for me. He was one of those guys that, if you worked, you played, he didn't sugarcoat anything. Those were his kind of guidelines. If you're going to be a worker, you're going to play. And regardless of where you were drafted or what your position was, he was going to, reward guys that, played a hard, honest game.
You had a few other guys from Edmonton on that team that year: Jason Chimera, Paul Healy, Turan, Sandwith. Did you know any of them before you got there?
Nope. No, I didn't know anybody. I just went in and had, I had no clue of anybody. So it was definitely an interesting transition. And it's like anything, once you start practicing with the guys and you become one of them, and, it just becomes a kind of a family. But I had no idea of anybody. Like, Chimmer's a little bit younger than me, but we never crossed paths, playing hockey in Edmonton.
No, but he was a pretty fast talker back then, I'm assuming, even.
Yeah. Well, then I got to play with Chimmer, and he was just, well, obviously how fast he is. But I'd get the puck and I would just lob it to an area, and he would just skate onto it, and he'd get lots of chances that way. I did a lot of the heavy lifting.
Scott Ferguson, I think, was on that team too, from Camrose, right?
Scott Fergie was on the team. So we had a very blue collar team that year. The following year, we did the Montreal Edmonton split.
All right.
And we had 4 very, very solid lines that can score. So we would just go in, and we were going to beat teams. It was just figuring out how much we were going to beat them by. That's how good we were. Yeah.
Now, were you on the line that year with Chimera and Swanson, or did you play with Sarno?
I played with Chimmer and Swanee.
Okay. Yeah, like you guys were your number 1 line. You guys all had like 60 plus points.
Yeah. We had a pretty, and you know what? A lot of credit to Chimmer and Swanee. I remember at the beginning of the year, they had someone else on the line. I'm not going to mention any names, but it wasn't working or clicking. And, they went into Claude, and
Yanni
of
Rita?
no, not yet. Well, Yanni was there too. Yeah. But they went to bat for me and asked if, I can, jump on their line. And he said, okay, we'll give it a shot. And then we did, and we just clicked. And we were really good friends off the ice and on the ice. So that made, I think, a big difference for us. But we just hit the ground running, and we were pretty good from there on in.
Well, Yanni Rita scored 25 goals. I think that he was a thick tank, was he not?
Yanni had a big butt and big legs, like thick. And he was just, he was kind of a freak of nature, because we'd be looking over at him and he'd just be eating like a bag of lettuce. We're like, Yanni, what are you doing? Mixing something, but he'd just be sitting there, just be a bag of lettuce, and he'd just sit there and eat it on the bus. So he's just a little different that way, but
bag of lettuce.
Yeah.
Was it because he was pretty ripped all the time. So is that what his whole philosophy was? Like, I don't eat junk food, I'm just eating veggies. And did he mix in some protein?
Yeah, he was just driven. Like, he was just very serious all the time. And we're like, just relax, have some fun, and enjoy it. It's not always, focus on what you're eating, and, you can live a little bit too, right? So,
yeah. So you finish those 2 seasons now in the American League. Then it comes to 2002, 2003. And you got a longer look, though, in training camp that year, did you not? Like, you were close to one of the final cuts?
Yeah, I was the last cut that year. And I remember Mac T called me into the office, and at that time, if you're getting called into the office, it's typically, it's not the news you're going to want to hear. But this one was especially tough because, Mac he's like, came down to contracts. I was still on a 2-way contract, and it was Yuri DePita. It was between me and Yuri DePita. And I remember Mac saying, you know what? He's got a 1-way deal. You still have a 2-way, go down to the minors. He's like, I know it's something you don't want to hear, but just go and play, and we'll get you up here at some point. So, it was heartbreaking, but you go down and you play, and you just hope for that call and opportunity. And then Comrie ended up getting injured, and we were in where were we? St. John's, Newfoundland. And after the game, Claude Julien got a call, and he had the old flip phone. So the old flip phone opens up, and Stoli and I were walking out together, and Claude kind of gives us, puts his finger up and just says, wait a second. And we didn't know who he was talking to. So we just both waited. And then he kind of pointed at me and called me over and said, the Oilers had an injury, and you need to get on a plane, and you're going to fly to Anaheim. So I had to go from St. John's, Newfoundland, all the way into, Anaheim, which, you know how the weather is out there, and it was snowing and storm, and I was just praying that my flight was able to take off, and finally did, and landed in Anaheim. But I wasn't sure if I was playing, so I went, checked my bag in. Staffy was there, took my gear, and then just said, you know what, just go across the street, grab something to eat, and then come right back, because it was already 3:00, and the guys usually get there at 4. And so I get there, and go through the warm up, and they said, well, we're not sure if you're going to play yet. And then finally they said, yeah, you're dressed tonight. And I played, I think, 50 seconds the whole game.
I have it's 1 minute and 6 seconds.
Yeah, something like that. So, and honestly, I was content, because I was flying. I didn't sleep at all, obviously, the night before, and then traveling all day, and I was exhausted. But I just sat on the bench and just waiting for him to call my name. And then when he did, it was 1 minute and 6 seconds, and it was the best. I was so excited. Family and friends were watching and rooting and cheering me on, and knowing the story and the path that I took to get there. So it was pretty special for sure.
So, and then you played the next night, and I think you played close to 10 minutes.
Yeah, in LA
against the LA Kings. So we'll see how good your memory is. February 5th, 2003.
Well, that'd be my first goal.
That would.
Yeah.
Who is it against?
Geez, now was it not Washington? Anaheim?
Anaheim.
Yeah, Anaheim.
Yeah. What kind of goal was it?
Oh, it was just right in the slot. mucker kind of goal. So
Oh, I thought you were going to tell me it's like top shelf shorty like you did in
geez,
Carolina.
Yeah, I wish people could research it. So I'm not gonna lie.
But
It wasn't anything pretty, but you know what? Like I said, I take them all day long.
Well, it's funny because your first NHL first NHL game was in Anaheim, right? Then your first NHL goal was at home against Anaheim.
Yeah.
And then later that year, your first 2-goal game, March 7th, in Anaheim. So you were playing like your January 6th or whatever it was, 8th against Anaheim, February 3rd against Anaheim, then March 7th against the Ducks. So obviously you're loving the Ducks.
Yeah, I like them a lot, I guess.
Yeah. But like you're a local guy and you got all your buddies. Like I don't care where you're from. If you have buddies in Ontario, they're going to be pretty pumped. But you're a local guy. You got a lot of buddies you probably played minor hockey with. Like that year when now you're an Oiler and you guys made it to the playoffs that year, right? You ended up playing all the playoff games in 2002, 2003. And, like kind of how was it for you? Was it like overwhelming a little bit? Like when was there kind of like, holy crap, I'm in the NHL moment?
You know what? The first home game was that, you're skating around and you're looking and, being in that dressing room and just, understanding the history in that organization and the guys that have walked through that door and stepped onto that ice. And, those are moments and things that you dream about as a kid. And, hearing that place and how loud it gets and just being a part of that and knowing that your family and friends are out there watching in the building, that was kind of, your first real opportunity that you really soak it in. And you're like, for a minute, and then you're like, okay, I got a job to do. And I don't have the luxury of, soaking it all in and not focusing on the game. So, but yeah, that was probably the first game. And then, that year we ended up playing Dallas in the playoffs. And I think it was the last game because it was myself, Reisner and Ethan Morrow were on a line and we were going to be matched up against Medano and Mac T's like, I think we already clinched. I think which is odd. We usually wait to the last game to know if we clinched. And I think a couple games prior to that, we knew that we were in and Mac rested our line. He said, you're just going to have the night off and we're going to rest you. Like, are you sure? I'm like, I thought he was joking with me, but he's like, no, you're going to play lots against Medano. So, just make sure you're rested and ready to go.
So you're a rookie, but you're 25-year-old rookie at that point, right?
Yeah.
So I think you probably got a little bit more maturity. You've been to college and everything like that, but still got to be a pretty big thrill when your head coach is telling you, hey, like this is your job. And like some people, hey, everybody wants to be the big scorer. But that year, it was like our whole mindset is we want to try to contain Mike Modano. At that time, one of the greatest skaters in the game, right? Like one of the most electrifying players. Was it a mix of nerves, but maybe more excitement about like, man, this coach really believes in us?
Yeah, it was a combination of both. But, Mac T really, valued the game that I brought and appreciated what I did. And he liked the little things and the details in the game that I played. So he knew that push came to shove that I was going to get that puck out at the blue line or get it in at the blue line. So, and then we had great leadership, with, Jason Smith, Ethan Morrow, Steve Steos, right? Just to name a few. Those guys were all blue collar guys, understood what it takes to be a pro, putting time in on the ice, but obviously off the ice and hitting the gym. So we just had that mindset as a blue collar team because we didn't have the 97s and 29s in our dressing room because, we just knew what type of team we were and knew what it took to compete. And we couldn't afford to have one guy take a shift off because we'd get exposed for sure.
Fernando Pisani joins us. The most skilled player you had, though, was Alex Hemsky. And I think he probably gets underrated a little bit of just how skilled he was.
Yeah, Alex, he was just very he's hard to hit, very slimy, very just smooth. His hands, he would just walk around guys and you're like, how did he just do that? Like every game there'd be an awe moment with him. And you just sit back and really appreciate the skill that he possessed and the type of player he was. And being an 18-year-old kid jumping into that environment and that situation is truly remarkable. He's coming from Czech and in Europe there and not not knowing anybody and, you know, speaking okay English and getting thrown into that environment, playing top line minutes, like, you know, you tip your hat off to a guy like that for sure.
And he wasn't very big, but he was fearless. Like I know everybody talked about, you know, the Robin Regier, but lots of guys wouldn't go into the tough areas, and he had no problem going there despite not being a very big guy.
Yeah, he wasn't scared. Like, he would take guys on one-on-one all the time. And, you know, like Regier would try and run him, and, you know, Georgie would try go after him. And that was, you know, comedy within itself. But yeah, like, you know, Alish was, you know, he would just be able to wind it up and try and just go through guys. So, you know, he was a game breaker for us for sure.
So you played Dallas, and, you know, at that time, you know, there's no salary cap, and, you know, there's a pretty big discrepancy, and I think players kind of knew it. You know, you couldn't complain about it because there's nothing to change, right? And you're a young guy, you're just trying to establish himself. So then the next year, now you're a regular guy. So tell me, you know, you had the conversation in 2002, you know, with Mac Team was very hard about not making the team. The next year when you made the team out of camp, was there a conversation all like, hey, Fernando, you made the team? Or because you had played in the playoffs that year, you kind of went to camp expecting to make the team?
Yeah, you know what? I knew that I was on the team, but you still know that every year there's always guys trying to take your spot. So I didn't have the luxury of, you know, kind of sitting back and being like, hey, I made it and that's it. I knew that every year that I had to kind of push and compete for that spot. But I also knew that Mac had, you know, faith in me as a player to, you know, to go in and do the job that I needed to do. But I remember my camp that next year, and, you know, back in the Rexall days, we'd have those dressing rooms you know, behind the main room there, and they put guys in that dressing room, and they'd always have the main guys, you know, in the main locker room.
Yes.
So for whatever reason, my gear was in the back locker room there, and I didn't think anything of it. So I was getting dressed, getting ready to go on the ice, and I was walking in the hallway, and Kevin Lowe was walking through, and he saw me come out of that, you know, those dressing rooms in the back hallway, and he said, "What are you doing in there?" And I'm like, I didn't think anything. I was just getting changed. And you know, he's like, "You shouldn't be in there." And I'm like, "Well, I don't know, Kevin." I just grabbed my gear and just going on the ice. He's like, "Where's Sparky?" And I'm like, and at this point, I can tell Kevin was pissed. And I'm like, oh, I don't want to get Sparky in trouble because I love Sparky, and that wasn't my intent. So then Kevin, I guess he went into the training room, and I gave a little heck to Sparky about, you know, I've earned the right to be in that dressing room. And that's one thing I'll always respect about Kevin is, you know, he's been very good to me throughout my hockey career. And you know, when I heard and saw that he did that, I was like, this guy truly cares about, you know, me as a person and the work that I put in to get here, and values that. So that was kind of cool to hear. And Sparky came over and apologized to me, and I'm like, Spark, I didn't say nothing, you know, I'm like, I didn't want to get you in trouble. He's like, no, he goes, he's right, you know, your gear should have been in that room. So that was kind of cool to hear Kevin. Not cool to hear Sparky getting shit, but but yeah, it was nice for Kevin to do that for me.
Oh, yeah. Fernando Pisani joins us, and, you know, all those little things kind of add up, and so then you become a regular, and then the lockout hits. So, you know, you're a young guy, you just finished your full season in the National Hockey League. You're like, hey, you know what? I'm starting to establish myself, and you know, the breaks come on, and you played. I think you played like 7 games in the Swiss League that year for Langnau Tigers. Is that right?
Langnau, yeah.
And then I'm looking it up. Then you played 12 in Italy. So why'd you play 7 in one and 12 in the other?
You know what? It was one of those situations where I just wanted to play, and I went to Langnau, and I didn't really know anybody there, and I played a few games, and they wanted to sign me because I just went for like a tryout, and so I played a few games, and I didn't really truly enjoy that the town and that experience. So I'm like, you know what? I'm just
what did you like about it?
The room I was in was like a 5x5 room. I literally stood up and my head hit the ceiling, and my mindset wasn't fully right to go to Europe at that time. And I was hoping, and every day I would be calling, you know, Jason Smith was our player rep, and I'd be like, Gator, like, what's going on? Are we getting back to playing? And he's like, I don't know. So I ended up coming back, and then a few of my buddies from college went to playing. We're playing in Italy at the time, and they said, just come play here. We'll have some fun, and you'll know the guys. And then I just said, you know what, let's just go and play. And it was definitely a different experience playing in Europe. And, every week I'd call and check in, is there any update? What's going on? And, Jason Chimera was playing in the league. So, and then we had Rico Fata on our team in Italy, and Stefan Quintel and Matthew Daneyko. And so it was a pretty good group of guys that were there. So it was a lot of fun, but you're always sitting there. I finally get to the NHL, and you're like, we lose a year of hockey, and a year in hockey is like 5 years. You don't know what happens after that, but then you basically lose the full year, and it was definitely disappointing. But once everything kind of the dust settled, it was nice to come back, and you really appreciate what you have as a player, playing in the rinks and the facilities and getting treated the way you do when you go and play in a different environment, for sure.
Fernando Pisani, our guest, when we come back, you return from Italy, and then it's 2005, 2006. We'll talk about that season next here on Who Is It Wednesday with Fernando Pisani on the Gregor Show, live in the EWEL studio, ewel.ca.
Dive set steal.
Let's bring it home. This is Sports 1440.
Bringing every project to life requires the right team. By joining the Japa Machinery Group service or sales teams, you can be part of setting a new industry standard. Celebrating a legacy of excellence with Japa. Learn more at japamachinery.com.
The playoffs are wild. We all know that. And this year, Play Alberta is making it even wilder. Make a deposit with promo code Gregor50 to snag a $50 free sports bet with your next deposit. Get ready for unbeatable promotions throughout the playoffs with 10+ odds boost on every Oilers playoff game. Score a chance to win a pair of Lower Bowl or even exclusive sweet tickets for an Oilers playoff game just by making a bet on an Oilers playoff game at playalberta.ca. Bonus terms and conditions apply.
Hold on to your hockey helmet, Edmonton. On the Rocks is serving up 60-cent wings that fly off the plate faster than a slap shot.
And Molson Canadian for $4.50.
OTR's TVs, they're so clear.
You'll see the puck better than the rest.
Plus, every game night during Edmonton's playoff run gives you a chance to be part of the Sack Attack.
You could win a Hyman jersey.
This is our year.
And our time to cheer.
Be a part of the legend.
On the Rocks. On the Rocks.
Jasper Ave 118th.
Experience more at the Edmonton Expo Center. Come for Canada's largest trade show, the biggest names in entertainment, exhilarating sporting events, and more. Stay for the experience. But it doesn't end there. Maximize your brand exposure with Edmonton Expo Center's new cutting-edge feature screens, spanning Western Canada's largest venue space. Captivate an annual audience of over 1 million visitors during iconic events like Pro Rodeo, Disney on Ice, Glow, K-Days, and so much more. To learn more, call 780-660-0514 or visit edmontonexpocenter.com today.
Warmer, brighter days can make you crave something to sip. Booster Juice is busting out booster mixers, the summer fixers. Cold, tasty sippers in 5 vibrant varieties. The Mango Teaser, Berry Teaser, Almighty Acai, Game Set Matcha, and Oranges and Cream. Try all 5 and brighten your day a sip at a time. And try the Cookies and Cream Booster Ball, the yummy little bundle of almond butter, maple syrup, coconut, and gluten-free cookies. Visit a Booster Juice near you today or download the Booster Rewards app.
There's still time to book your tournament at the Ranch Golf and Country Club.
As one of Alberta's top tourney courses, the Ranch makes hosting fun and easy for any group or business. No matter how unique or unusual, they'll accommodate your vision for an event no one will soon forget.
Start planning your tournament today at their beautifully landscaped course on the outskirts of West Edmonton. On-site event coordinators are here to help, but hurry, availability is limited and booking fast.
Visit theranchgolf.com.
Superstar. Edmonton's newest Traeger dealer is Garage Superstore. So if you're thinking, yeah, I need a Traeger grill in my life this summer, then buy now and save up to $250, but only till June 19th. Plus, you can pay later. Ask for details. Garage Superstore is also a place for garage cabinets and other storage solutions, along with vehicle lifts, garage flooring. See their 8,000 square foot showroom with 6 full-size, fully outfitted garages.
Garage Superstar.
Southside Calgary Trail.
We roll through a busy Wednesday afternoon on Sports 1440. Very special guest on Who Is It Wednesday in studio, Fernando Pisani, talking about his career path from junior with the Saints to Providence to having really no contact from the owners after drafting him until he came to camp and then finally getting to the NHL and then going through the lockout. And then now you come back out of the lockout, Fernando, and you play 80 games that year. You score 18 goals, a new career high. But where were you in the summer of 05-06? The lockouts ended. Everybody knows. Where were you when you heard the news that you guys acquired Pronger? And how did all of a sudden you think, maybe this is a different landscape now that there's a salary cap?
Yeah. I was here in Edmonton, I believe. And I was pretty excited to hear that. This is the first time I've kind of had an opportunity to have such a blue chip type of player on our team. And then it was pretty exciting times for us for sure. The guys were all pumped to have him. And, I hated playing against him because every time you'd line up next to him, he'd slash you on top of the laces just to let you know he was there. So having him on your team and having him, with you is definitely was a welcoming feeling for sure.
The game's different now. The stuff, how he played and used his stick in front of the net. And I think he was suspended 8 times. Like the game's just different now. Yeah. But when he came in and he has, he was very confident in himself, which I think you need to be as a great player. Yeah. Did his confidence trickle down, do you think, to the rest of the team where he was like, yeah, guys, like we're not intimidated by anybody? Did you notice that? Did it take a while?
Yeah. You know what? The first month of the season when, he came on board, he just had that calming presence. Like anytime we were in trouble in our D zone, he would just make that first outlet pass and just settle things down. Like we never, we had really good defensemen, but we didn't have guys that were at that caliber where he would just get the puck under pressure, hold off a guy and then just make that outlet pass and hit a guy full speed going down the wing, right? Those are elite plays that he could do on a consistent basis. So he just had that presence about him, and he played probably at least 30 minutes a night for us. And, when he's playing that much, like, when Mac T was coach, his practices were about an hour and a half almost consistently every single day. And it was funny when guys came and got traded to us or came to our team from another NHL team, they'd be like, do you guys practice like this all the time? And we're like, yeah, why? And they're like, we never practice. Like we go 45 minutes and we're done. So having Prongs there, he would be like, I can't practice this long and expect to play, 30 plus minutes a night. And we're like, yeah, Prongs, go talk to Mac and see if you can get us a day off. And Mac would be like, oh yeah, you guys can have the day off, but you got to do a lift or something, right? Like he just didn't like giving full days off. So, but that's the kind of clout that, Prongs had. He can go back there and have that conversations. If I went back there and had that conversation with Mac, he'd tell me where to go. So, and I wouldn't even do it. I wouldn't even entertain going back there, but that's just the kind of, the clout that he had. And, it was nice to have that type of player in our group that can really just settle things down when things were getting a little bit out of control.
And so now you get to the, and you guys, you added a lot. You had Spacek during the season, Dick Tarnstrom, you had Pekka in the offseason, right? Then you got Samsonov and Rolison. And that was like, if there was a GM of the Year award, Kevin Lowe would have won it that year, because you look at Pronger, Pekka, Spacek, Rolison, Samsonov, like that's just not a normal year, right?
Yeah.
And I'm sure for you guys, you're probably thinking like what the hell's going on here? Like this is it's like the wild, wild west all of a sudden. Like we're now a competitive team.
Yeah, like when we got Pax, he wasn't very good for us. First
he wasn't. It wasn't good shape.
He was just, it wasn't. And in the playoffs, he was lights out. He was phenomenal, and he was my line mate, and so was Rafi. So we had such a phenomenal chemistry with each other. But he wasn't very good the first little bit. But then when he brought his game, like he had the ability to just snap his fingers and bring his A game. That's how Pax played. And he was, I think he was bar none, like his penalty kill, his face off, he had a really good release and good shot. Like he scored some big goals for us too. But yeah, like all the pieces that Kevin added, Rolly, goaltending was solidified, Sammy coming in, and, he was a guy that complemented, Hemsky, right? So there was just lots of little pieces that Kevin added that really, complemented our team for sure.
So you tell me your recollection of what and did you know when Mac T told Winchester to go grab the octopus on the ice?
You know what? I had no idea. I was on the bench. I don't know if I was on the starting lineup or not, but I just remember seeing him
bolt off the bench, right?
Go on the bench. I'm like, what the heck's he doing? And he grabs it. And then he goes and brings it back to our bench. And I was like, what the? I had no idea. Like nobody said anything because we were all so dialed in and focused. But the funny part is the next game, he had like the surgical glove on because his hands stunk after. So I was laughing at that because the next game he goes and he puts he has got like the surgical glove underneath, his hockey glove, and he goes and picks it up and throws it behind our bench.
So he picked it up both games.
Yeah.
Oh, and I remember the one game. I didn't know it was both games. And he scored a huge goal for you guys too.
Yeah, he did. Yeah. And when he was really good. And I think it was the first game he scored.
Yes.
But yeah. But yeah, like you just had, and that's what you need in the playoffs. You need just different guys stepping up at different moments. And we definitely had that. But the one thing about that group and even just our coaching staff is the plan that we had in place. And the belief in that plan was, like it was a very calming, demeanor that the coaching staff had. It's like, Detroit was, I think they're ahead of us by 30 points.
Oh, God, they had 124 points.
Yeah. So it was significant. So nobody really even, gave us a chance to win. And when you talk to anybody, but, Billy was really good tactician. Mac T was good at, just a lot of little things that they added that, our plan was, okay, this is how we're going to do it. And we do this, we execute this, we're going to win. And that, like their confidence in that was like, all right, yeah, you know what? You're right. We are going to win. And that just comes from, Mac T delivering the message and being like, you know what, this is what we're going to do. And this is how we're going to do it. And we're going to have success when we complete this. Right. So he was, and Simmer was really good and Charlie. So we had a really good group of guys, and we had a veteran group that kind of understood what it took to win. And obviously you have Pronger on the back end can log in those type of minutes. So it was truly amazing.
And then so I was looking at you, like obviously that year you ended up with 14 goals, but you scored a goal and assist in game 2 against Detroit. Then you had 5 goals in the first 6 games, including 2 in the clinching game 6. Like, so when that series is over and you guys are down on Hudson's on White Ave, Are you like, okay, I just scored 5 goals in my first ever playoff series, right? Were you like, okay, you know what?
Well, I
like
scored against Dallas in did
you score? Okay.
Yeah, I scored in Dallas.
But 5 goals in 6 game series.
Yeah.
Right. So were you at that point, because your line was there like to defend, but obviously you wanted to chip in, but did your mindset change and all of a sudden like, hey, I got to be more than just a checker now, or I can be more than just a checker?
I think you look at every player that makes to the NHL, they've had a very good and solid junior career, right? So everybody has that ability to score. When you get to the NHL, it's a completely different animal. You need to understand what type of player you can be, because, you know, the upper echelon guys, you know, you look at them and they can score on a consistent basis, and you're like, you have a real appreciation for what those guys do, because it's extremely hard to do what they do. You know, as a player for myself, I knew that if I made the NHL, I had to change my game somewhat. I had to be a 200-foot player, be smart defensively, not give anything up, and chip in wherever I could. And that's kind of how I had to change my game. And you know, going into the playoffs, did I expect to do that? No, I didn't. You know, I was hoping and wanting to, like everybody, but you know, things kind of lined up and opportunities came, and then you start, you know, chipping in here and there, and then confidence is really high, and then you just get on a roll, right? And that's kind of what happened with me.
Yeah, you got on a roll, and you know, you scored some huge goals for your team, and then where like it's different. You know, you talk about like the guys become consistent scorers, and people expect them to score. They expect to score.
Yeah.
When you were getting into the Stanley Cup final now, like, did you sense that in the room? Like, guys are, hey, if we need a goal, like Pisani's going to score us a goal now, like that. And not to be disrespectful, but that really wasn't your role in the regular season before, right? And so, did you sense that? And like, did that spur you on, or were you not even thinking that way?
You know what? I wasn't really thinking that way, to be honest. Like, you know, Mac T threw me out on the power play, and I knew when there's a power play, if either unit, I was going to go out there. So for me as a player, that's, you know, when your coach shows you that much confidence, then you play a little bigger, you play a little stronger, and you want to reward the coach with that, you know, with goals when you get those opportunities. I don't think guys were looking at me to say, okay, go out there and score a goal. I think collectively we all just said, you know, let's just continue to push, continue to play, to be stingy on defense, and then when we get opportunities, let's just try and cash in. But I don't think guys were looking to me to be the, you know, go score a goal now, right? So I think we just knew what type of team we were, and we were going to score ugly goals if we had to, and that's kind of it.
When you look at, you know, that shorthanded goal is one of the most iconic goals in Oilers history. Now it's overtime. It's game 5. It's shorthanded. It's on the road, and it's a hell of a goal, right? Like when did you show your kids, and when did your boys watch that one the first time? Did they find out about it, or did you just suddenly mention, hey, you guys want to see a goal?
I think I showed it to him at an early age. Yeah.
As you should.
Yeah. You know, in that situation, I remember it like it was yesterday, and because I probably watched it a bunch too. So. But you know, Stevie gets the penalty, and you know, we're doing a 1-1-2 in our PK, and you know, Ethan does a, you know, without Ethan pressuring the way he does, that doesn't really happen. So if you really break it down, Ethan gets on the forecheck, and typically guys, when they forecheck, they'll do the big loop and swing and then come back. But he stopped, and then he reattacked on Stillman. And just by doing that and hitting his hand as he was going to pass it, you know, changed that trajectory of that pass or the strength of the puck coming through. And that gave me the opportunity to really I was like, holy man, this is coming. And I stepped into it. And then all of a sudden, you know, like when you're PK and you're like, just don't get scored on. That's your mindset. You're not thinking of, okay, I'm going to go try and score a goal. And then that puck comes to me, and I step into it, and I don't think Cam was set. And, I look up and I see him, and he was kind of over cheating a little bit to his blocker side. And it was like time stood still, and I just got it and leaned into it and shot it. And it, you know, obviously the rest is history, but it just, you know, went exactly where I wanted it to go.
What did Steve Steo say to you in the celebration?
Well, he swore a little bit. He just said, bleep rights, you know, great job. Awesome. You know, so, but yeah, you know what? And then everybody jumping, and, you know, when you watch the video after, like the coolest part to me is the reactions of all your teammates and the coaching staff and the trainers. You know, you see everybody, Staffy's throwing the towel up and Mac jumping, and like that to me was pretty cool and special to see and be a part. Because when it happens, you don't see that, but then when you watch it on review after, like that to me was pretty cool and special.
Your did you have a cell phone in 06?
I think so, yeah.
It might have, but texting wasn't around. So well, your voice must have been full, because like I gotta think though, like scoring, everybody at that point, all your friends and family want the Oilers to win, right? You're in a city, and like I know jokingly people said, man, Pisani never had to buy anything on Little Italy Street after that forever, right? And but like in the days afterwards, like was it, and then you come home to Edmonton, and that might have been the loudest I've ever heard that building for Game 6, right? And you guys absolutely murdered them in Game 6. Like we had Aaron Ward on the show here a few weeks ago, and he talked about how he goes like it wasn't even close, right? Like we had to scrap that game from our memories as quick as we could, and we were able to do it by scoring early in Game 7. But like for those 24 hours, like, and you think about your life, how you've watched that moment, like that's a moment that every human being would die to have, because it's hard to even put into words what the surge of emotion is in the moment. And then you said afterwards, like seeing you do something that makes not only your whole teammates excited, but like a whole city go crazy.
Yeah, that right after that goal, my phone was obviously going off the hook and hearing from people that I haven't talked to in a long time. But, everybody was excited. And, I actually got Stanley Tucci reached out and sent me a cookbook. And because there's some lineage going back to back home. So I think our parents are from the same small town in Italy. So that was kind of cool. And obviously with, there wasn't the social media, it would have been cool to have that connection and chat with him a little bit more with it. But you get so inundated with what you're doing and your focus, and you're not wanting to kind of veer off of that because you don't want that ride to end. So but looking back, you wish you would have appreciated more of, you sit back and look around and say, you know what, this is pretty cool.
Yeah.
And I never did that enough.
Okay.
And that's kind of the one thing you regret as a player, because I was always worried if I take the foot off the gas pedal, or if I sit back and smell the flowers a little bit, then then this ride could end, so you just always like, okay, I got to be focused. I got to be ready to go. So that's kind of the one thing that you wish. But, going back, the city, the people were so excited and so passionate. And, like you said, Game 6 coming back into that building, you couldn't hear yourself think. Like as soon as we walked out onto the ice, it still gives me tingles thinking about it, because you're looking around and you hear how, well, how it was.
Yeah.
It was deafening. Like you couldn't hear guys calling for the puck, because that's how loud it was.
Yeah, it was great. Yeah. I'm going to ask you to stay for one more segment. Pisani, is that all right?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. We get Connor Halley, a quick sports update. We'll come back with, we'll find it, because we got to put a bow on the 2006, and then a little bit of stuff afterwards here on Who Is It Wednesday. Extended edition with Fernando Pisani after Sports 1440 update, brought to you by Fountain Tire. You have until Saturday. Get in where you can save over $200 off a selection of 4 tires, including Goodyear, only at fountaintire.com.
This is the Sports 1440 update.
Busy day in the majors. The Jays in action tonight, taking on the Orioles once again. First pitch set for 5:07. Game's going on right now. Top of the ninth, the Reds trail the Rockies 7-6. In the sixth, the Giants lead the Diamondbacks 6-3. Brewers trail the Phillies 2-0, and the Mets up on the Nationals 1-0. Later today, Dodgers in Pittsburgh. Yankees host the Twins. White Sox taking on the Cubbies. Once again, the Athletics host the Mariners. The Padres in Anaheim earlier today. Red Sox blanked the Braves 9-0. And the Cards doubled up the Astros 4-2. One game postponed. Guardians and Royals. They'll make that one up on August 6th. Edmonton Riverhawks are in action, taking on the Ridgefield Raptors once again. First pitch set for 7:35 before the Riverhawks at home for their season opener. And some news from the tennis world. Novak Djokovic will undergo surgery to repair a torn meniscus in his right knee, which forced him to withdraw from the French Open. The surgery would put the 37-year-old status in doubt for Wimbledon, with the major at the All England Club just a month away. Coming up in Hour 3 of the Jason Gregor Show, more with former Edmonton Oiler Fernando Pisani, plus Mike Rupp of the NHL Network, and we'll ask 5 questions. I'm Connor Halley. This has been a Sports 1440 update.
Sports 1440.
Stingray radio station.
CKJR broadcasts from West Edmonton Mall and Wetaskiwin.
Download the free Stingray music app and listen wherever you go.
Christensen Communities, the name in active adult living. Enjoy retirement living without compromise. At Christensen, we understand that each lifestyle is unique. We are committed to providing choice through optional dining, personal services, recreation programs, and care plans to suit your current and future needs. Enjoy maintenance-free living and build new friendships in a safe, independent community. Large suites with full kitchens and in-suite laundry, on-site amenities, and so much more. Find out more today about our communities across the province at cdlhomes.com.
Hold on to your hockey helmet, Edmonton. On the Rocks is serving up 60-cent wings that fly off the plate faster than a slap shot.
And Molson Canadian for $4.50.
OTR's TVs, they're so clear.
You'll see the puck better than the ref.
Plus, every game night during Edmonton's playoff run gives you a chance to be part of the Sack Attack.
You could win a Hyman jersey.
This is our year.
And our time to cheer.
Be a part of the legend.
On the Rocks. On the Rocks.
Jasper Ave 118.
Japa Machinery Group knows that XCMG may not roll off the tongue, but Japa's team will help keep your construction jobs rolling on time and on budget with heavy equipment sales and rentals. Visit japamachinery.com to find out more.
What's cracking at Cattail Crossing? The Mixed and Mingle League. Join Cattail Crossing Golf and Winter Club every Thursday as they pair up males and females for a fun and social round of golf. Only $33.30 all season long. Details at cattailcrossing.ca.
For 50 years, GS Construction has been laying the groundwork for your community. But they couldn't have done it without building their employees from the ground up. Many of GS Construction's employees started without any industry experience at all. But because of such programs such as GS's Next Person Up, they've gone on to become valued members of the team. If you want to join the team as a laborer, pipe layer, or pipe layer's helper, lead hand, operator, top man, or woman, or water and sewer foreman, visit gsconstruction.ca.
CW Eves Troughing is busy. That's why they're looking for experienced troughers to run one of their trucks. To get paid top rates, contact CW Eves Troughing at 780-435-1492 or email info@cweves.com.
For a limited time at McDonald's, enjoy the tasty breakfast trio. Your choice of chicken or sausage McMuffin or McGriddles with a hash brown and a small premium roast coffee for $5 plus tax. Available until 11 a.m. at participating McDonald's restaurants. Price excludes delivery.
The Brick's fabulous 96-hour sale is back. Check out amazing deals for 4 days straight. From Friday to Monday only, find incredible savings in every department. Save up to 25% on love seats, recliners, and dining furniture, as well as up to 30% off home entertainment furniture and fireplaces. Visit The Brick this weekend to take advantage of these special prices during the 96-hour sale. Some exclusions apply. See in-store for details. The Brick, saving you more.
You know you make me wanna kick my heels up and throw my hands up and throw my head back and come on now, sure forget to say you will.
Just after 4 o'clock, it is the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca. Remember, it's Lotto 649 tonight. Ooh. Somebody feeling lucky. 60 mil up for grabs. You can get your tickets at PlayAlberta.ca. And remember, the order is a little bit of an underdog. Use the promo code Gregor50. It'll get you a free $50 play with a minimum $5 deposit. If you believe in your team, that's the place to do it. PlayAlberta.ca. And our special guest, a little extended edition of Who Is It Wednesday. Fernando Pisani is in studio. We've talked about his young career as a player and into junior, and then to the minors, to the NHL, and then of course 2006. And you know what? I love how you can say, man, I can remember it. I still get tingles thinking about the noise and stuff. Do you ever get over the loss of Game 7? Like,
no, you don't. Every year when they hand out the cup, I can't watch it.
Yeah, turn it off.
Yeah, I just turn it. It's too hard, and it just brings back all those memories. And you go that far, and you just it's heartbreaking, to be honest.
Oh, no, it's totally fair.
Yeah. So it's not fun to watch. But
now, if the Oilers won, could you watch it? Or would that make it even harder?
No, yeah, you definitely want. You know, at the end of the day, this organization's been very good to me, and I'm very grateful for the opportunity that they gave. So I'd be happy. I'd be more than happy for, you know, this group to win it, and the organization, and kind of the ups and downs that this organization has had. So, you know, for the Oilers to win it, 100%, I'd be very happy for that.
Yeah. What do you think their chances are? You've been wide. I know you're big. Like, you're scouting now for the Montreal Canadiens.
Yeah.
So, you know, you're in the league. You know what's going on. What do you make of their run?
You know what? The one thing that's really impressed me is their PK, and how they've really stymied some teams, and you know, not allowing teams any easy entrance into the zone. They just really set up a wall at the blue line, and then even just the way they pressure down, and they force that winger, you know, down the wall towards the hash marks, and then, you know, that defenseman strong side D really takes an angle and forces him down the wall. And they just really don't give them any time and space to make any plays. And they're just in sync. When one guy goes, the other guy knows where to be. It's truly amazing to watch when you really dissect that game, for sure.
Yeah, they've, like, you know, Chris Knobloch's mentioned how, you know, it's Mark Stewart oversees the penalty kill, and, you know, gives them a lot of credit for it. But the players, like, you've played a lot. You can have the best coaching system in the world.
Yeah.
It's still up to the players to have to execute it and be in that close unison and sync as a unit, that when one guy goes, the next guy goes.
Yeah, you have to be in sync. You can't have one guy go and then the other guy be, you know, a little bit hesitant. And they just, I think they have triggers and markers. I don't know 100%, but just from watching it, you know, when the top guy pushes down, you can see that defenseman is taking away the middle and really flushing him down towards the wall. And then really, when you get that puck as that forward, you don't really have a lot of options. You either have to go straight, you know, down to the goal line guy, but then the net front D is a stick length away from him. So when he gets the puck, he's got a guy on him. And if they go back to the top guy, then, you know, that forward really pushes up and corners him off to the ice. And then that forward goes back to the middle. So it's like, they're just in sync, and it's fun to watch when you really break it down.
You've always, I know Craig McTavish talked lots about, you know, the thing he appreciates, like, you're a very smart player, right? Like, and you're somebody, as you had mentioned earlier, like, you had to adapt your game. Like, everybody likes to score, but if you want to stay in the NHL, like, you weren't going to be Doug Waite or Ales Hemsky, except in 2006. But, you know, so you have to think the game a lot, right? Like, do you find most of the bet, like, when you watch guys like Ganmark and Brown, like, you have to have anticipation, but you still have to have that innate ability to think quickly on your feet and react to be a good penalty killer?
Yeah, you have to have instinct, but you also have to understand the position and each position. You don't just have to know yours, you have to know what everybody else is doing. And when you're in sync as a four-man unit, then it's very hard to penetrate as a power play, right? And really, the only way to really create opportunity is you just have to have that bumper support really tight so that you can spread out the box and attack it. But from a PK perspective, if one guy's going and the other guy knows where this guy's going, and, you know, the stick position and body position, those are all little details of the game that if you really dissect it, you can see. But the Oilers do a fantastic job. Obviously, they've, you know, stymied some pretty good power plays with, you know, Dallas and Vancouver. So
now, after the 06 run, obviously, you guys weren't able to match that success, and then, you know, you had the health issues, you know, with Crohn's and colitis. Were you having symptoms even in 06? Looking back?
No, I don't. No, I wasn't. You know, when you go through the playoffs, everybody's banged up, everybody's injured, everybody's sore. Anyone who tells you different, they're lying. But yeah, I started to feel, you know, sick in that summer. And, you know, you get to that situation and you don't know what's going on with yourself. And, you know, I had some conversations with Kenny Lowe at the time, and, you know, it was, excuse me. Yeah, it was just, it was tough. And, it was a very dark time in my life, because, you know, it's not something you enjoy talking about, right? Like, fair. you had two options. Either you talk about it or you don't say anything, and people find out anyways. And I just said, you know what? JJ was our PR guy at the time, and he said, well, what do you want to do? And I just said, you know what? Might as well just talk about it and deal with it and move on. It's it was something that really I didn't know a lot about. And then when you can't control what's going on with your body, that's pretty scary. And I didn't even tell a lot of the players on the team. Like a lot of the guys had no idea until camp started and I wasn't there. And then, you know, guys started to wanted to come visit me. And I didn't really want people to see me because, you know, I was at the time when I was playing, I was probably 203-4 pounds. And then I lost like 55 pounds in a short span.
Oh, wow.
So I didn't want the guys to see me like that, but they came anyways, which I'm glad they did. And they were really caught off guard of how bad and how sick I was. So that was difficult. And then, you know, after that, I started to, you know, my doctor was phenomenal. He was a leading gastro doctor in the world, and he kind of got me back on track. And I remember when I started to feel good, the first question, you know, I asked, when can I get back and play? And you know, it was like, he's like, you got baby steps because you can't relapse, because if you relapse, we don't know what that's going to lead. And so we just kind of took little steps. And I remember when I was able to leave the hospital and to go on the ice, I literally took one lap around the rink with Charlie Huddy. And I'm like, Charlie, I'm gassed. I need to stop. I took one lap around the rink and I had to stop after that. And then
what year was this? Do you remember? Was that because was that the summer of 2008?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah.
Because you actually came back and you still played. Like I think you played
after January. I think after Christmas I was able to come back and play, but it was really baby steps to kind of get me to that point. And I wasn't sure if I was ever going to even be able to play. Like, and at that point, you're not thinking about hockey. You're thinking about what kind of life am I going to live? And, you know, and the positive side on that whole thing about talking about it is how many people who have been, you know, diagnosed or, you know, that have friends or family or, you know, whoever that, you know, it's an embarrassing disease and nobody really likes to talk about it. But now people are like, well, since, you know, you're talking on a bigger level and it's okay to talk about it. And, you know, that was nice to hear people say that, you know, thank you for being open with it.
Well, you know, I got to tell, hey, Fernando, one of my sons has colitis and I see his struggles with the associated anxiety. I have a tremendous amount of respect for you for being able to compete at the highest level while controlling a major health issue. It's inspiring stuff from Shovelhead. So I'm sure, and you've probably received a lot of those conversations from people because you're right. It was an illness, a disease that not a lot of people really wanted to openly talk about. Right.
It's not a glamorous disease if there is such a thing, you know, like it's one of those things where nobody wants to talk about, but and then as soon as I started doing it, you know, it's amazing how many people have, you know, faced that or been dealing with it. And, you know, the worst thing you can do is not say anything or not go see a doctor. As soon as you have issues, you should go see a doctor right away. Cause, you know, the earlier, it's like anything, the earlier you treat it, you know, the quicker you can get it resolved. So waiting is obviously not good. So people were more open to going to deal with it too.
So how are you now?
You know what? Everything, knock on wood's been good. I feel great. Everything's, you know, healthy, and I obviously have to take meds to kind of maintain everything. But I've been very fortunate enough to have a plan in place, and you know, the meds are working.
Now, I do have to ask you this because I know we have a good. We always like to have fun with it. So, what was it that you didn't like about the song Fernando? It's kind of a catchy tune.
Yeah, it's not that I didn't like it. It was it's just been played so much. Well, because I would go to college and, you know, you walk into a party and the guy's like, no, wait, walk out and then come back in. And then they play the song. And I'm like, and then people would look at you like they want you to do something. I'm like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. Right. So it just got played a little bit, a little much.
So
But
you'd
you know
heard
what?
it too many times. That's fair. Okay.
And honestly, when they were playing it during the playoffs, I didn't mind hearing it. So
The playoffs would be unreal. Yeah,
that was okay. I zoned it out anyway. So
what was the one of the funniest interactions you had during 06? Remember, because like all of a sudden now, like, you're a star player, right? And people you see how people react to Connor McDavid compared to, no offense, how they'd react to Matthias Janmark. It's just different, right? How was there one really that stood out for you or something? Or when did you be like, man, this city, like everywhere I go, they kind of know who I am all of a sudden?
Nothing really. Yeah, it's hard to, off the top of my head, I can't think of anything, but just people coming up to you in the grocery store. And that's the good and the bad about, playing in Edmonton, is if you had a bad game, everybody knew, and people weren't afraid to let you know, like, what's going on? What'd you do on that player? Why did you do that? And it's not, younger people, it's the older ones that will just come up to you and be like, you really made a bad play there or something. You're like, okay, thanks. I'll try and be better.
Bob.
Yeah, I'll try and be better.
We got a lot of texts coming in and just say, hey, please tell Fernando he gave me the greatest summer of my life, from numerous people all in their early 20s that had never really experienced, the Oilers. Like, they kind of remembered 1997, right? Like, that was the first year after you got drafted by the organization.
Yeah.
So you probably remember, Marchand and Curtis Joseph, and then the next year, but nothing like that, all the way to Game 7 of a Stanley Cup final in a city that had probably heard all the stories about the 80s if you weren't old enough to experience it. And so, for a lot of young fans, and now it's 18 years later, right? Like, now you have kids, right, who are experiencing it. How is it for you as a dad? Like, your son, congratulations, just got drafted in the WHL, and your other son's going to college, right? So clearly they got mom's skills.
Yeah.
But, how is it, as a dad, seeing your young boys who are obviously big fans?
You know what? It's really cool for them to experience it and see it. And, they went to the game 4, and just to really, like, they look around and see how crazy the place was and how loud it was. And it's good for, young kids and young players to kind of see that and just give them that little extra, push or motivation to, say that could be me someday. And they're having fun, and, they're asking more questions about, was it like this when you did it? Or,
Okay.
So that's kind of cool to hear that kind of stuff. But, I can't remember who it was on a breakaway, and they missed. And I said, I would have scored that.
Connor Brown.
Yeah, I didn't want to throw Connor under the bus. I said, I would have scored that backhand 5-hole. And they're like, that's the only move you have, Dad. I said, well, if it works, like, why
well,
change
except
it?
that top shelfer on Ward. That one worked. So, yeah. Oh, that is great, though. You got to say, hey, because it's hey, when you've scored on the breakaway, you can say, hey, I would score that.
I would have scored there. But it's always easier from TV, dude. So,
how do you break down the series against the Panthers?
You know what? Florida's going to be in your face. I think they're going to try and muck it up after whistles. They're going to try and, bring the Oilers down into the, just into that type of style of fight that they like to do. They did it with the Rangers, but honestly, I feel the Rangers didn't have a ton of pushback. But if they do that with the Oilers, they got the power play, right? Like, that power play, how do you defend that? There's so many weapons. There's, you really, it'll be interesting to see how they do their PK, because how do you defend when Connor gets the puck and he starts coming around the top, and you're like, okay, do I go? Are you going? Who's going to him? Right. So you're trying to, and he creates that indecisiveness, and that indecisiveness opens up a seam for either Hyman or Nuge, or like there's Bush. There's so many threats. So I think Florida's going to really struggle to kill any penalty, and that they got to be smart about it. So if they go down that road, then the Oilers will be on the power play, and I don't think they'll fare well on that for sure.
Well, Fernando, I really appreciate giving us a few extended minutes here on Who Is It Wednesday. It's always good to catch up with you. Enjoy the playoffs. If you're, well, I know you're gonna be watching with your family, and I know alumni. I know there's lots of them. There's a big list of who's coming in, so you might have to get to a game.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for having me.
Hey,
Lots
man,
of
appreciate
fun.
it. That's Fernando Pisani. When we return, Mike Rupp will join us on the Gregor Show on Sports 1440, Oilers Nation YouTube, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
The playoffs are wild. We all know that. And this year, Play Alberta is making it even
427. Oh, man. Big thanks to Fernando Pisani. That was great. Little extended time on, who is it, Wednesday? And we got a lot of texts coming in our email inbox in 833-401-1440. Many of you, just thanking him for talking about colitis at the time, and many of you thanking him for one of the best summers of your young life. And, even Fernando, when he talked about it, he goes, man, when just the sound of the crowd in 06, it still gives him tingles, he said. When talking about that and obviously the goal. And it was amazing, listening to him and watching him describe the goal, like every specific detail he remembered perfectly about that goal. And you know what? Hey, when you're in that moment, you can imagine every player, that's kind of what you dream about, is to score a huge goal at a certain point in the playoffs. And man, it's hard to think of a bigger goal, for the Edmonton Oilers. Definitely the biggest goal shorthanded, and probably top 5 greatest goals in Oilers franchise history. I think that would be up there for Fernando Pisani. Game 5, overtime, shorthanded, Stanley Cup final, facing elimination, and you bury a top shelf. Woo! What a Gino that was, man. That was a special goal. Let's get to the playoff report now, brought to you by Action Electrical, where, hey, you want to take action on your savings, whether you got commercial or residential. You're thinking about solar, but don't think about it. Make it happen. You get a 10-year interest-free loan. We'll help you out at actionelectrical.net. And hey, our next guy, he knows a thing or two. Won a Stanley Cup, scored a few Genos, a game winner as well. Mike Rupp, ace analyst for the NHL Network, joins us. Rupper, how you doing?
I'm good. What's up, buddy? You got me?
I got you there. Yeah, I see you got a Gretzky jersey on the back wall there. Is that a signed Gretzky jersey?
So that one is actually not signed. I still got to get Wayne to sign it. I had him briefly as a coach in Arizona when I was with the Yotes. And it's funny, my when that happened, my mom gave me. So I've said this before. I grew up in Ohio, and during that time, it wasn't a lot of hockey on TV. It wasn't really a way for me to kind of consume it as a kid. But I knew what was going on in the 80s, and it was the Oilers and Gretzky. So Gretzky was my guy growing up, and my parents went to a trip to Toronto, and they came back and they brought me an Oilers. Listen to this, an Oilers painter cap. Like, you remember like the painter's caps, like what they look like, the weird shape to them. And it was an Edmonton Oilers painter's cap that I wore. It was my hat I wore every day. And then I played knee hockey with it. That was my glove. My mom gave it to me, and I've been trying to, cross paths with Gretz to get him to sign that over the years. That'd be like the best thing ever for me. But yeah, big Wayne Gretzky guy.
Oh, now, so what's the Ranger jersey behind you and the Penguins? Who are those?
So yeah, no, it's just I got the Lemieux one. I got Mario to sign that when I was in Pittsburgh. The Rangers jersey is actually just Amika Zibanejad jersey. I've got this Nico Hischier, and then that's my Danbury Trashers jersey back there. And I got it's all kind of just chucked up there right now. But I got a lot of jerseys I still waiting to get framed and stuff that will get up there.
Now, do you have a jersey from every team you played for?
Yeah. Yep. I have one from every team I've played for. And I collected the ones, at the end of every season, I got jerseys for certain guys on each team. So I got pretty good, all the big name guys from the teams that I played on. I made sure I got those jerseys and signed. So it's kind of cool though, because I look back at it when I was in Columbus, I played with Sergei Fedorov. So I have a Sergei Fedorov Columbus Blue Jacket signed jersey.
Oh, that's like dirty. That's rare. There's not a lot of those.
Yeah, not many of them out there, I'm sure.
I like it. Rupper, I've been reading a lot of people, how's McDavid going to handle Barkov? And I'm like, yeah, okay. But I'm like, how's Barkov going to handle McDavid? Like, how's that not be a question that's being asked as often as how's McDavid going to handle Barkov? Like, I looked at Barkov's numbers against Zibanejad. He played 49 minutes and, you know what? Hey, didn't score a goal, but in the whole series, Barkov was on the ice for 1 goal, 5-on-5 for Florida. If he's only going to be on the ice for 1 goal, 5-on-5, I'm not sure they can beat Edmonton.
So it's a great point. It's fascinating that we haven't discussed that, right? The one thing that I think looking at these two teams, I think the fair thing to say on both sides is Edmonton hasn't seen a team like Florida, but Florida also hasn't seen what the problems that Edmonton can bring, right? Like they haven't seen that. You can, I know the Florida Panthers have gone through some teams and you could go off those crazy stats with Nikita Kucherov, 0 goals, Pasta 1, Panarin 1. I mean, at the end of the day, like it's a different animal. We can't compare any of those 3 players I mentioned to Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl. It's just no comparison. And it doesn't just stop there. I mean, this is a team that has a lot of weapons. They have a lot of their special teams we know about and we've talked about a lot. I find it's on both sides. Neither team has seen a team quite like the other. So that's what makes it very intriguing. But the other thing too, Sasha Barkov's awesome. Like, deservingly so, winning the Selke. But I think the more impressive thing is what Gustav Forsling and Aaron Ekblad have done. I don't believe it's the Barkov effect as much as it is, to be honest, the Gustav Forsling effect and what he's done on the back end as far as being a lockdown D pair.
So, Forsling and Warren Fogle told me today he thinks he might have the best stick of any defender in the league, right? He thinks he's like the next Slavin as far as a defensive defenseman goes. So, Robert, if you're going up against Forsling, how would you attack him if you're the Edmonton Oilers?
Oh, who are you though? Who in this?
Like McDavid or Draisaitl's line? Like McDavid, because I know they attack very differently.
Yeah, I mean, these are guys that I think when you're those two, you look at it like make him adjust to me. You know what I mean? I think that is something to kind of look at, and I think is always something big in the playoffs too. It's not always about what the other person is. It's believing what you are, right? Make them adjust to us as opposed to us adjusting to them. I don't think those two need to necessarily attack Gustav Forsling differently. Make and see if Forsling can handle you. Any other mortal as far as in that lineup. I think the big thing for Forsling is he does have a great stick and it's always going to be there. And so I think it's really important not to force plays. When you get a guy like that, and there's been so many that over the years that are just frustrating to play against because there's sticks in the passing lane, shooting lane all the time. Even if you got a step that looks like you're going to beat them wide, they've got a stick there just to kind of disrupt any kind of play you want to make. So I think it's important not to force something because that's where those turnovers in the transition game happens, right? The good stick creates a turnover, and now everybody's going back the other way. So I think it's just about, sometimes putting the puck into a space and going, getting it back, maybe not trying to make that play just inside the offensive blue line because that's where Forsling's really good. So I think it's just being a little more measured in your decision-making.
Mike Rupp joins us here on Sports 1440, Oilers Nation YouTube and Facebook. And, Rupp, I think both teams, what's going to be great about the Stanley Cup Final is they'll both be rested. If there's, as rested as you can get, I know that not every injury is going to be healed up in 5 days, right? Like Evander Kane's still nicked up. I'm sure Florida's got some guys, Barkov, who missed him. He wasn't skating. So, no guys are going to be 100%, but they'll probably be as close as they can be after this rest. Well, like what kind of series are you expecting here? Like we know how Florida plays, but we also know how Edmonton plays. Who do you see if they have an advantage, if any, heading into this series?
Man, it's hard because I feel like they're very different in the way that they kind of play, but they're very, both teams are pretty demonstrative in the way they play, and they, when they're playing their style, it's tough to adjust. I think the one thing with the Florida Panthers that I'm seeing with them is it almost reminds me of when I was playing. Every once in a while in the playoffs, you run into a team that's they're just flowing well. Like they shift by shift, everything. I mean, you have players that maybe wouldn't really move the needle very much in the regular season that look like they're all world right now. You know what I mean? Yeah. Or they're just connected all over the ice. They're kind of like a buzzsaw. I mean, they seem like I think back to 2003 when we won the Cup in New Jersey. Like every shift kind of looked the same. Like they're consistent. They're just you're gonna have to have patience if you're Edmonton Oilers here. Like it's not going to just happen. And this is a team in Florida that's just they're a little bit of a throwback, and they find ways to just be very consistent in their play. But on the other hand, I think that the Edmonton Oilers have this ability, this belief. It kind of feels like their time right now. And it just seems like, when you need that big play is being made, whether it's a goal or, we're seeing this team kind of slow things down for the opponents offensively. Like they're capable of doing that. They've got like 7 1-goal wins in these playoffs. So, it's not your typical, that's another thing that is frustrating, I think, nationally to hear, the Edmonton Oilers are a one-trick pony. If you think that, you haven't watched this team. Like this team is way more than that. But I also think this year the Florida Panthers are way more than they were last year. The Florida Panthers were a team in the playoffs last season. If you recall, Greg's, like they got outplayed over the course of the game a lot. They just found ways. It was like they
won 7 or 8 in a row in overtime, I think it was.
Yeah, and they kind of felt like Vancouver in these playoffs, or New York Rangers even in these playoffs, where the course of play is not in their favor, but they just kind of found that big play at the right time. That was last year. This year, it's different. Like they're controlling play now. Like they seemed a lot more ready and a better team now. But the Edmonton Oilers are a better team now than they were last year too. I think that's something that people don't give enough credit to.
We are joined by Mike Rupp, and Rupper, the matchups here, I think most people assume for game 1, it's going to be Barkov's line against McDavid's line, and it's going to be Bennett's line against Draisaitl's line. And so you got Bennett and Tkachuk, Draisaitl. Today at practice, it was Fogle and Holloway. Kane isn't skating. We assume, head coach Chris Knobloch said he's going to play. I would guess it's going to be them. So you got Holloway, Draisaitl, and Kane, against Bennett and Tkachuk. And everybody knows what Bennett and Tkachuk bring, right? But Evander Kane's no shrinking violet himself. I think Dylan Holloway's a young player, but, I talked to him today, and he's not head in the clouds. He knows what's going on, what's going to happen there with Bennett and Tkachuk. And then, there's Evan Rodrigue. How do you just look at that combination, of Draisaitl, who Draisaitl's kind of the unique superstar where he's big and heavy, likes to slow the game down. He almost enjoys having contact on him a little bit. He spins off it very well. How do you see him and Bennett and, that Tkachuk going head to head? And, do you see an advantage either line in that series?
Listen, I don't think it's going to be anything they haven't seen in the playoffs. Yeah. This at the end of the day, it's the NHL playoffs. Whether you're a team that plays that way or not, you're going to target the superstars in the other team. They've seen this. They've seen this for a number of years now in the playoffs, as far as, McDavid and Draisaitl and some of these other guys too. It's like they have been targets. They will remain targets. Now, I actually think the little game inside the game for me is this is going to be very interesting, because Matthew Tkachuk's actually been very disciplined in these playoffs. Like he hasn't been. We've seen Matthew Tkachuk out of control at times, right? We've seen Sam Bennett out of control at this times, and some would argue maybe he was out of control at some point in these playoffs. But they haven't. They've been pretty smart in the way they're doing it. Because here's the thing: they're in the finals here, and they experienced it last year. But the playoffs and then playing in the finals, you've got to find another level. There's all that emotion, adrenaline. You got to be careful if you're Florida. And you could say, oh, well, that's the story in every series. You don't want to take penalties. No, this is different. Like you could say, oh, the New York Rangers were an elite power play. Yeah, but it wasn't this power play. Like this is something different where, I thought the Dallas Stars did an incredible job of not taking too many penalties. But at the end of the day, you got to take some penalties. You got to defend. Yeah. So how is Florida going to be their MO, who they are? We've said it till we're blue in the face. They defend hard. They're a throwback team. They're in your face. They finish every check. All right, that's who they are. You're going to take penalties just by default the way you play. Yep. And Edmonton has showed that they might only need 2 attempts, 3 attempts. They can score a goal, 2 goals. And it's not just that. They can get timely goals in other parts of the lineup at different stages of the game. So to me, that's going to be the struggle. Can Florida be disciplined? Because if they don't, they're going to get eaten alive. And that's something that, and even from the Edmonton standpoint, look on the flip side, this 93% PK, I think that allows this team to play more aggressive. That might not be their MO as much as it is Florida's, but when you've got a 28 for 28 PK, I feel like I could be fully aggressive. You still got to be smart, but it allows them to kind of play a harder game, I believe.
Yeah, well, they can play a harder game if they want, for sure. Florida's power plays 23%. Not overly dangerous. All it takes is one. And I you mentioned how Florida got outplayed a lot of times. Really, if you go back and you look at the Stanley Cup final, 5-on-5, some of the games were close, but 2 of the games were blowouts, basically because Florida's couldn't stop Vegas's power play. Vegas scored 6 power play goals in the series, and Florida scored 1. And so, special teams will matter a lot. What about the coaching? You got Paul Maurice, who's, one of the all-time leaders in games coached ever, and Chris Knobloch's a rookie. But Chris Knobloch, now he's a rookie NHL head coach, not a rookie coach. He's coached a lot of levels. But you look at the decisions he's made to this point, Rupper, and, changing goalies out, changing out defensemen, forwards, and I wouldn't say haphazardly, but, he believes in it. He has conversations, says, hey, we're going to make this. I think it works for our team. What about the coaching matchup? Do you think it matters at this point, or is this, you played in the Cup final? Like, how much does coaching come into it? How much is it the players?
I think the only time it really, really matters is when you have a coach that I find that there's some coaches that don't make adjustments. They don't make change. Maybe, to be frank, there's been times where I think it becomes, maybe not so in the Stanley Cup finals, but in the playoffs, it's almost job security, where we're going to play the guys that we're supposed to play, and you don't make the hard decisions. Chris Knobloch has made those. He's made some hard decisions in these playoffs, and they've worked out. And he seems like he's got a great pulse of this team. So, I'm not concerned with that. But then I also think there has been coaches in the past that overcoach and overplay. This guy seems, as chill as can be. I know Chris from his days in Erie, and got to talk to him back then when he was coaching Connor. This guy's got a great head on his shoulders, and he doesn't have a panic. And I think it's serving him well right now. So I don't really think, Paul Maurice is one of the great coaches that we've seen in our game. But, Paul Maurice, when he broke into this league, he didn't have experience either. You have to get it one way or another. And Chris Knobloch's getting it right now. And I think he's passing every test so far. So, no, I don't really see an advantage as far as behind the bench.
Rupper, what's your pick? Have you made it yet?
I feel awful about it. Like, I don't feel confident about it.
Okay.
I've got Florida in 7. Every time what I said before, it just feels like the Florida Panthers are playing that brand of suffocating hockey right now that's overwhelming. But then I also sit there and I question it as soon as it comes out of my mouth, because it kind of feels like this is Connor and the Edmonton Oilers time. And I don't care either way it goes. I hope it goes a long time, because I actually think this is going to be a great series.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think it's going to be a hell of a series. And so, I have the Oilers in 6 because I picked them at the start, so you got to stick with it. But, I think for both teams, this is the best team they face in the playoffs, and that's what's going to make it great.
Yeah. No, that's fair. It's going to be it's going to be fun. I can't wait to see. There's a lot of people, I think, stateside that how do I put this? An endorsement of one's an indictment to another. Anytime stateside you say something positive about Connor McDavid, it's, oh, how many cups has he won? How many is this? Or this guy's better. It's like, stop. Enjoy the greatness. And that's why I want this guy to get a cup, to shut everybody up. This guy has made adjustments in his game. He plays hard on both sides of the puck. And I think we're going to see that in the Stanley Cup Finals here.
Rupper, it should be great, man. We appreciate it. And hey, mate, are you going to the Cup Final at all? Maybe you should bring your painter's hat along.
I should, yeah. You know what? Maybe I'll see if I can bring it. Yeah, I'm going. I'm heading out tomorrow down to Florida, and then I'll be heading up to Edmonton. So hopefully, run into you there, Greg.
Oh, dude, I'll see you there. Well, you have an extra day between, so maybe we'll go for a beer.
Yeah, I'll wear my painter's hat. I'm sure it still fits, right? Yeah,
I might. Thanks, Rupper. Have a good one, man.
You too.
There you go. That's Mike Rupp from NHL Network, ace analyst for them, and also former NHLer, Stanley Cup winner. Hey, scored a huge goal in the game-winning goal, Stanley Cup Finals. Not many guys can say that. Quick break. We'll come back. We got 5 questions and more on a jam-packed Wednesday edition of the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
Let's go, Oilers. Bring it home.
We have to keep going, and we got 4 more wins to go here. So we'll enjoy this one tonight for sure, but get back to work.
This is Sports 1440.
For a limited time at McDonald's, enjoy the tasty breakfast trio. Your choice of chicken or sausage McMuffin or McGriddles with a hash brown and a small iced coffee for $5 plus tax. Available until 11 a.m. at participating McDonald's restaurants. Price excludes flavored iced coffee and delivery.
Edmonton Stingers basketball face the Niagara River Lions Sunday, June 9th at the Edmonton Expo Center. Enjoy affordable family fun with a $5 food and drink menu and free parking. Tickets start at just $20. Visit thestingers.ca/tickets.
Well, get ready for a silly hockey fans. Your partner in power just skated onto the ice.
EWEL.ca, the new e-commerce website for electrical wholesalers Edmonton, is ready for the power play 24/7, 365.
UL skates to where the puck will be in 5 years. Now that's forward thinking.
Killer selection, slamming products from the best brands, and legendary service.
Don't sit on the bench. Get your account today at EWEL.ca and win that project.
Plug into your partner in power. Get an EWEL.ca account today.
The job isn't done until the last load is hauled, and having a semi-trailer out of commission is not an option. Whether replacing or adding to your convoy, Edmonton Trailer has a huge inventory of new and used semi-trailers, trusted by the gravel, logging, oil field, fluids, and freight industries. Find a trailer right for you online or at one of their 3 locations. For sales, service, parts, rental, and finance, when you're in it for the long haul, Edmonton Trailer.
Warmer, brighter days can make you crave something to sip. Booster Juice is busting out booster mixers, the summer fixers. Cold, tasty sippers in 5 vibrant varieties. The Mango Teaser, Berry Teaser, Almighty Acai, Game Set Matcha, and Oranges and Cream. Try all 5 and brighten your day a sip at a time. And try the Cookies and Cream Booster Ball, the yummy little bundle of almond butter, maple syrup, coconut, and gluten-free cookies. Visit a Booster Juice near you today or download the Booster Rewards app.
Silent Ice Sports and Entertainment is an innovative market leader across Western Canada with sports and entertainment properties including the Spruce Grove Saints, the Junior Prospects Hockey League, Silent Rides Charter Company, the Hockey Super League, and the newly launched Female Super League. Silent Ice also owns the Western Hockey League Seattle Thunderbirds and operates the Morinville AAA Arena. The Silent Ice Center, a new state-of-the-art entertainment facility, is open in Nisku, which features 2 sheets of ice, including a 1,600-seat arena and a restaurant with a viewing area.
Some people prefer pre-owned to saying used. Sherwood Honda will happily sell you a used vehicle. But first, it will be pre-Sherwood Honda certified with a 159-point pre-inspection. Then pre-stored to Sherwood Honda's high standards. Then they pre-guarantee the lowest finance rates and prevent problems with the 30-day exchange privilege. Pre-owned or used, Sherwood Honda actually has plenty of both in stock with a buying experience you sure would prefer.
Vision Credit Union is proud to serve rural Albertan entrepreneurs, business owners like Jennifer and Jason Miller, who own North Star Oilfield Services and Distribution in Wainwright. They started the company back in 1997 with a single truck. Today, they're proud to have a team of 9 employees, including their 3 sons, a fleet of oilfield service trucks, and a distribution shop. Way to get down to business, North Star. Looking for financial services to help your company get down to business? Learn more at visioncu.ca.
Before every big interview, every big presentation, every big moment, I've always looked in the mirror and put on my game face. But lately, my eyes look tired, my brow looks old, and I'm starting to think it's game over.
Stop thinking and start seeing Dr. Vance Elliott for skin refreshing treatments designed to give you a fresh and natural appearance.
He didn't make me look weird. No, he gave me back my game face.
Book your consultation today at drvanceelliott.com.
Why shop the big bin sale at Metal Supermarkets? Because they're clearing out everything in their off-cut bins at 30% off. Check out the wide assortment of miscellaneous metal and save. 30% off everything in the off-cut bins until this Saturday only. Hey, when's the last time something actually cost less? Exactly. And with the money you save, treat yourself to something posh. Like groceries. Metal Supermarkets, the convenience stores for
Southside, West End, metalsupermarkets.com.
Some people prefer pre-owned to saying used. Sherwood Honda will happily sell you a used vehicle. But first, it will be pre-Sherwood Honda certified with a 159-point pre-inspection. Then pre-stored to Sherwood Honda's high standards. Then they pre-guarantee the lowest finance rates and prevent problems with the 30-day exchange privilege. Pre-owned or used, Sherwood Honda actually has plenty of both in stock with a buying experience you sure would prefer.
Yeah. You feel it, baby? 2. Come on, swing. Come on, swing.
Continue on. Lovely Wednesday afternoon. Now, hey, happy hump day. You made it. It's only downhill from here, baby. Heading into the weekend, you have 3 more sleeps before the Stanley Cup Final, Game 1. You also, like we said earlier, if you want to take your mind off it, you're getting too worried, you can go to the Riverhawks game at 1 o'clock in the afternoon on Saturday, or the Elks home opener at 2 o'clock. Riverhawks home opener is on Friday night. So, and also the Stingers, if you want to finish out the weekend, they got a home game on Sunday. So, baseball, football, hockey, basketball, got you covered. All the sports this weekend in Edmonton. Should be a lot of fun. Let's get to 5 questions now, brought to you by The Brick. And starting on Friday, they have the 4-day sale. If you're looking for amazing deals and amazing savings, hey, maybe you want to go shopping Friday night to take your mind off things. You're like, you know what? I need a bigger TV. Well, 30% off all home entertainment from Friday to Monday at the Brick. Also, you can get up to 25% off love seats, recliners, and dining furniture at The Brick and thebrick.com.
It's time for 5 questions on the Jason Gregor Show.
All right, Gregor, with the days off, if you're the Edmonton Oilers, what is your primary focus here heading into Game 1?
For the players, you mean?
For the players, yes.
Well, I think their focus is just going to be ready. I really, it was interesting listening to Matthias at home, and he admitted that maybe they weren't focused. I just don't see that. You got 5 guys in this team. I think they've got enough players that can speak up if needed, and not like lengthy speeches, just little subtle reminders. Hey, you know what? We got to be ready. I think it's talked about. I think the Oilers, honestly, what their focus will be is just to try to start the series how they ended against Dallas. That's what I would say. Like, I know that Game 6 wasn't ideal for them, but their power play kept going. Their penalty kill was perfect, so that was ideal. Their goaltender was great. Right? They gave up a little bit more than the usual. They're, probably subconsciously sitting back more than you'd like. I don't expect them to sit back in Game 1. So I think a lot of it is just kind of same old. Let's try to pick up the rhythm and momentum that we had.
Yeah, and you know what? Just to throw it on that, I'll say being healthy, being rested, being ready to go. I think there's some nagging injuries. Both sides, this extra time off benefits both. So I'm going to say just getting into this one, feeling as good as you possibly can, getting the treatment you need to go. I think that's a good benefit for the Edmonton Oilers and some of their top players. Question number 2, in honor of Fernando Pisani, I want to ask you, when you think back in sports, and you can go any sport, who sticks out to you as one of the top playoff performers?
Wow. I'm going to go Mark Messier. Like, you look at Messier's production, he's tied with Gretzky, I think, for most 20-point seasons in a playoff. Right? Like, he wasn't obviously as talented as Gretzky point-wise in the regular season, right? Never. But man, Messier come playoff time was an absolute machine. So I'll go with the Moose.
I like that one. I'm going to say Michael Jordan. Obviously, the flu game stands out, but a guy, wanted to make the big play with the game on the line and really elevated his game in the playoffs. So I'll go Michael Jordan for me ton of good ones out there. That'll transition into our next question with the NBA Finals coming up on Thursday night. Who's going to be your pick to be the Finals MVP?
Ooh. You know what? I think this series kind of a lot similar. I don't know if I see a clear favorite here. Should be a heck of a matchup, but I'm going to go with Luka. I think Dallas is going to win, so I will go with him.
I'm with you. I'm hoping Dallas wins. I'll take Kyrie Irving to go for it, but yeah, Luka's a really good pick. I like that one. Question number 4, you're looking at the odds, and the makers have the Elks with 6.5 as the line set for wins on the season. If you were to be betting on this one, are you taking the over or the under?
6.5? Oh,
6.5.
Sign me up. I'll take the over for sure. I think they're an improved team. I think they could be like at least an 8-win team. 8. Like, I don't know if they get more than 10, to be honest, but 6, I would take over for sure on that one.
Yeah, I'm with you. They just, I think they started to turn things in the right direction last year. Getting games closer, coming back in second halves, like adjusting well at halftime in some of their games. There are some entertaining road wins. Honestly, a few more. I'm going to say they get like at least 4 at home this year and jump over 6.5. I'm with you. Final question for you today. Today is apparently National Veggie Burger Day. So my question to you is, have you tried any of the imitation meat products? And if so, what would your opinion be of them?
I don't know. What do you mean by imitation meat?
Well, they have like some establishments have it's fake beef and it's...
No. Honestly, I've never tried one.
You heard of them?
Now that you say it, I think so. Yeah. I don't know. I don't even know. There's some weird names of it. I'm like, no. It's like, I don't even know what's in it. So no, I'll take a burger or I just won't eat. I'm not going to eat why would I eat? This is not meat. Well, what is it? Is it vegan?
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah. But is it
soy?
plant-based
I don't know.
Or what is it? I've never tried one, to be honest.
I can tell you, I've had a few vegans in my life. So I've had a vegan hot dog. It was awful. I think plant-based. Had a vegan burger once. Actually, that was here. They had a barbecue and some were vegan, some were beef. I didn't know the difference. I just grabbed one. Turned out to be vegan. It was okay. You got to load it up with the toppings and their fake chicken nuggets. Same sort of thing. Got to load it up in barbecue sauce or whatever it might be. But the hot dog was awful.
I will say though, at Costco, they have a gluten-free pizza dough. It's the greatest. I can eat gluten. It doesn't bother me, but that's all we eat now. It's amazing. So highly recommend it. But
if it tastes good, why not? Right?
Yeah, 100%. So there we go. But yeah, I'm not, you know what? Hey, for people who eat it, awesome. Good for you. But no, I'll eat beef or I'll eat chicken or I'll eat bison, fish burger. I've had a veggie burger once, right? So, and I was like, yeah, it's okay, but it's just not my first choice. I like a little meat. Let's get to the con man and a sports 1440 update brought to you by Booster Juice. Try the cookies and cream booster ball, the yummy little bundle of almond butter, maple syrup, coconut, and gluten-free cookies. Download the Booster Rewards app today and order one only at Booster Juice.
Edmonton Oilers 40 Vander Kane will play in Game 1 of the Stanley Cup Finals Saturday night. That comes from head coach Chris Knobloch. Of course, he did hobble off the ice during Game 6 of the Western Conference Final against the Dallas Stars, just playing 4 minutes, 39 seconds. He did not skate today. Warren Fogle holding a spot on the second line. And Lane Lambert is joining Craig Rube's coaching staff with the Toronto Maple Leafs. Previously spent time with the Islanders. He won a cup with the Capitals, also in Nashville with the Predators. Major League Baseball today, the Jays in action. It's just about to get going as they host the Orioles. The first pitch set for 5:07. A couple games going on right now. Dodgers Pirates are scoreless. The Giants lead the Diamondbacks 9-3 in the 9th. In the 7th, the Mets up on the Nationals 9-0. And just getting going. Hope you had the over in this one. Bottom of the first, Rays lead the Marlins 3-2. Later tonight, Yankees host the Twins. White Sox up against the Cubbies. Rangers host the Tigers. Padres travel to Anaheim. And the Athletics host the Mariners. Earlier today, it was the Braves getting shut out by the Red Sox 9-0. Cards doubled up the Astros 4-2. Reds over the Rockies 12-7. And the Brewers blanked by the Phillies 2-0. Guardians Royals postponed due to rain in the Cleveland area. That game will be made up on August 26th. The Edmonton Riverhawks one more game on the road before they head home for Friday night season home opener. They'll be out in Ridgefield taking on the Raptors. First pitch set for 7:35. And in the WNBA's Commissioner Cup, you got the Aces in Arlington, Texas to take on the Wings at 6. And at 8 o'clock, the Sparks hosting the Lynx from Los Angeles. Coming up in hour 4 of the Jason Gregor Show, we will be joined by Mark Spector of Rogers Sportsnet and Stanley Cup champion Ken Daneyko of the NHL Network. I'm Connor Halley. This has been a Sports 1440 update.
Sports 1440 in West Edmonton Mall and Wetaskiwin. CKJR is a Stingray radio station.
Download the free radio player app and listen wherever you go.
Hey, Edmonton, it's your quarterback, McLeod Bethel Thompson. Elks football is back. The home opener, presented by Pure Later Tackle Hunger, is Saturday, June 8th versus the Saskatchewan Roughriders. The Grey Cup will be in the house to salute 75 years of EE football. Tickets and more at goelks.com.
I take possession of my commercial space in 3 months. I need lighting. I need a fire alarm. I need data. I need a generator. I need panels.
Sounds like a job for the men and women of Action Electrical.
Projects team reporting. We design, build, and construct all the electrical systems for your projects. Need everything to work right? Get the Action Electrical project team on your site.
Facing an electrical menace? Call the men and women of Action. Operating throughout Alberta at actionelectrical.net.
Legacy Heating and Cooling Jingle auditions take one for Ryan Nugent-Hopkins and Zach Hyman. Are you ready, guys?
We were born ready. Heck yes, Nuge. Drop the beat.
Call Legacy. Call Legacy.
We freaking killed it, Nuge. That's what I'm talking about, Zachary Martin Hyman.
Nice guys.
Just-
We're going to sell a lot of air conditioners.
Hey,
After
doesn't
work.
Legacy offer no payments and no interest for a year on those?
Yeah, well, thanks for the assist on the copy points there.
420.
Legacy Heating and Cooling.
For a limited time at McDonald's, enjoy the tasty breakfast trio. Your choice of chicken or sausage McMuffin or McGriddles with a hash brown and a small premium roast coffee for $5.
We tried
plus
any of the
tax.
imitation
Available until 11 a.m. at
products
participating
in
McDonald's
it.
restaurants. Price excludes delivery.
Hey, sports fans, we've got a clear choice for you. At Crystal Glass, we provide customers with the perfect glass for any job. From home to auto and even commercial, installation or repairs, we're your team. Call 310 Glass or visit crystalglass.ca. Crystal Glass. What's cracking at Cattail? Maybe you've got the next tiger on your hands. Cattail Crossing offers young golfers Operation 36, a program to improve their growing skill set with other golfers their age. To register, email proshop@cattailcrossing.ca.
Take your bedroom to the next level this spring at the Brick. Our bedroom event deals are here to help you renovate on a budget. Save up to $1,200 off sofas and sectionals and get up to 40% off bedroom furniture and mattresses. Plus, buy more, save more. Up to an additional $500 off major kitchen appliances and get free delivery on purchases of $4.99 or more. Take advantage of these fabulous deals today. Some exclusions apply. See in store for details. The Brick, saving you more.
An accident. And it wasn't your fault.
How do I get the compensation and support I need?
I can't work. Now what?
Is there any funding available while I'm recovering?
Is childcare covered? Can't I have a moment to myself? I need to feel better.
It feels like no one has my back. Robinson LLP does. Visit robinsonllp.com to find your injury lawyer. Robinson LLP, the recovery team.
Elevate your drive with spectacular savings at Windermere Chrysler. Get 10% off the rugged 2024 Ram 1500, the luxurious Grand Cherokee, or the versatile Durango. Thinking bigger? Opt for a heavy-duty truck and enjoy a no-charge diesel upgrade. Or take advantage of no payments for 90 days on select 2024s. Visit us today and explore these offers in our breathtaking new showroom. The choice is clear.
It's Windermere.
Visit windermeredodge.ca.
Yaremchuk, welcome back. What a busy, easy Wednesday afternoon, man. It was unreal. We had Yaremchuk kicked it off. Then we had Randy Gregg on the show. Fernando Pisani stayed in for 4 segments. Unreal. We had Rupper, 5 questions. Woo! Boom, that is a quick 3 hours. Getting closer to puck drop on. And we got Brett Kulak, actually. I might say the Kulak interview till tomorrow, actually, I think. So I had spoke to Brett today. I learned the last time he played right defense before junior. So, like, think about that. You're in the Stanley Cup Conference Finals. Hey, Brett, we're moving you right D. Yeah, no problem, coach. And I think you'll love his answer. I'll give you a little teaser. You'll love his answer as to what's the biggest challenge to overcome for him, just getting used to playing the right side when you've been playing the left side your whole NHL career. So that's going to come up tomorrow on the show. It is the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website. And if you try it, be sure to use your GameSense. Go to gamesense.ab.ca and learn how to stay within your limits. Jason Gregor, Connor Halley with you. And it's time now for the Spec Report, brought to you by GS Construction. And once again, they just want a huge thank you to everyone who helped celebrate their 50th anniversary celebration, and those who supported the Stollery Children's Hospital in doing so. A big thank you to everyone at GS Construction. As Mark Spector joins us, probably going to go to bed right after this because got to get up at like 4 a.m. to jump on a plane to Colorado, then to Florida tomorrow. Spec, and it's travel day for everybody, the teams and some of the media guys that are going. What did you take away today from the guys you talked to? Anything jump out as the the final day in Edmonton before they head out to Florida?
Yeah, no, I have to say I thought I saw a very calm group of guys. I can't tell the difference between this team heading into the second round against Vancouver as opposed to heading into the fourth round against Florida. Jay, I don't know if you could, but they were very calm. They were very, they looked down at things from sort of 30,000 feet. They weren't nervous. Everyone realizes there's lots of media coming up, but I sense that everyone knows we're not getting caught up in this. All our friends want tickets. We're going to get this over with like today, and we're going to put that behind us. I thought there was a very game one's going to start Saturday, Jay, and the Edmonton Oilers may win it or they may lose it, but they're not going to lose it because their heads weren't in the right place. Is that fair?
Yeah, I think that's fair, right? You know what? And that's where, experience matters sometimes, right? Just having guys who, Ekholm talks about his experience. Brett Kulak talks about his. Janmark, go down the list. Corey Perry obviously has numerous ones. And I think when you have guys like McDavid and Draisaitl, like there's a different, and it's probably not fair, but the fact of the matter is no one says, like I hear people say, well, he's good. Well, Barkov isn't the greatest defensive player because he's never won the cup. No one ever says that, right? They never talk about that. He's a great cell catcher. Well, Connor McDavid isn't the best because he hasn't won a cup, right? Like and I don't agree with it personally, but there's a different standard for those guys. And so like McDavid and Draisaitl, like the truth is they have more to lose than anyone else in this series because no one else in the series is considered, some of the greatest players of their generation.
Yeah, I mean, there's two sides to that. And sure, when you're as good as those guys are, that comes with the territory. And I don't, that's the way it is. When you're Connor McDavid, I think everyone in the world of hockey would agree that he doesn't get to get on the Mount Rushmore with Gretzky and Crosby and Lemieux and those guys if he doesn't ever win a cup. And I don't think that's unfair. So sure, there's extra pressure there for him. But I'll also say to you that, there's some guy in Miami writing that he's overrated. That's just he should just wear a sandwich board when he walks through the rink tomorrow saying, I don't know anything about the sport. Like, are you kidding me? He's overrated. So these are the things that come with having two great players. In the end, Jay, if I'm a fan of my team, I'd rather have the two great players and put up with the BS than not have the two great players at all, right?
Yeah. No, that's fair. And, I think they'll be ready. Some interesting line combinations from Knobloch. Not a surprise to me. Like he put, I said it yesterday, I would put Holloway and Kane with Draisaitl to go up against Bennett and Tkachuk. And I know Fogle was in, although I get a sneaking suspicion that Warren Fogle might be in the lineup for game one. I don't know where he's going to play, Spec, right? But I won't be surprised if Fogel's speed and forechecking is going to be in the lineup for game one.
Well, I really like the Oilers' top three lines a lot. I don't mind the third line one bit with, Janmark's a fourth line player to me, but the way this playoffs has been going, he can play with Henrique on the third line and Brown. I don't mind that. I don't like that fourth line one bit, right? Like, I feel like my fourth line wingers on this team are Brown and Janmark and whatever I do in the middle. I don't know what Perry's going to get done on the fourth line with McLeod and Carrick or Ryan. And this isn't me saying you got to put Perry on the top in the top six. That's not what I'm saying. But what I am saying is, if you're going to play Perry with guys who don't cycle the puck and grind it down low, and McLeod is incapable of that. And I'm not sure that Carrick is that guy either. And Ryan's a smaller guy. The smaller guys have a hard time grinding down low and protecting pucks. I'm not sure why I'm even using Perry at this point. I think he's wasted on that unit. So Fogel comes in, sure, I'd take Perry out at this point. If that's where I'm going to play him, you might as well take him out. So we'll figure this out. I'm sure Knobloch will figure it out. Maybe Perry's down there as a placeholder for the first guy on the top three lines that isn't playing very well, and he jumps into his spot. That could be the case. But if you're telling me you're going to play Perry with Derek Ryan and Ryan McLeod, I'm telling you, why are you even playing Perry?
I'd expect Sam Carrick to play, and Sam Carrick cycles the puck. I would expect him to play over Derek Ryan for game one. Bigger size. Ryan was on the ice for 5 goals against in 36 minutes in that series against Dallas. Okay. I think that's why we'll see Carrick. Corey Perry to me is, at this point, Corey Perry's like a third, maybe a fourth line guy. Like I saw him in the Dallas game. He came out the first game, he was very good, but then his speed showed in game 6, and I think he's a fourth line guy now, and that there's nothing wrong with that. So if it's Carrick and whoever else is on that line, go ahead, whoever's going to do it. But to me, it's going to come down to, like, I like the fact that Henrique was with Janmark and Brown, because Janmark and Brown right now, the way they're playing, like, they're really good defensively, but they've created stuff offensively, right? They got some goals, and more importantly, they create a lot of zone time. And so I look at that as a matchup of them saying, hey, we respect the third line in Florida, so we're going to put some guys in Henrique, Janmark, and Brown who we think can produce some offense, but also match up against Lindell. So I really like that, actually.
Yeah. No, I think that's exactly what Knobloch's thinking, is he wants to match up against that Lindell line. And he's got a real nice third line. Listen, that third line with Janmark and Brown around Henrique, to me, that's an awesome third line. They can ground, they can play, they can grind. If they get a chance offensively, they know what to do with it. So yes, for sure, absolutely. Now my only question becomes what's left on that fourth line, and what identity do they have? And maybe, you know what, Jay, maybe you go, we'll figure that out later. We got 3 lines that we love, and the fourth line's got a bit of a question mark around it, and let's sort that out as the time passes by here. Is there a place for Fogel on that line? Is there a place for Fogel somewhere? I would suspect he gets in this series. I don't think he deserves not to be in it. But you know what? Let's start the thing, Jay. Let's start the series. Let's see what everybody looks like here. And I think we'll have a lot clearer picture once we've played a game or two.
Looks like Broberg is going to get in for game one, which I don't really think is a big surprise. I think you can see a big Vin Diesel coming in later in the series if need be, depending on how it goes. But you know what? Broberg played really well. He came in and, you know what? All he did was perform well. They didn't ask too much of him, but he's played the most minutes he's ever played in a playoff game at 14 plus in each one, and obviously chipped in with a goal. But more importantly, he looked comfortable. And, with his speed, getting back on puck retrievals, I think that's a big advantage.
Well, I think, maybe I'm overthinking this, but I think Broberg's a bit of a metaphor here for what the Oilers are going to do. Like, we're hearing all this stuff about how physical Florida is. Great. Edmonton is a bigger team, and their defense is a bigger group. Edmonton's got 7 or 8 pounds and an inch on the Florida defense. So I guess I'd say to you this, Jay, like, if you just revert to playing Desharnais and say, we got to bang and we got to battle and we need big guys, now you're, in a way, you're kind of going towards the Florida's way of playing, and you're almost conceding this is how we're going to play the series. And if you keep Broberg in and you say, you know what, we're going to skate and pass and zone exit, and we're not that worried about the physical element that Florida wants to play, maybe you're saying we're going to play this game the way we want to play it. And I don't mind that. I don't see any reason why the Oilers have to adjust their game to Florida. Maybe Florida should adjust their game to Edmonton. How about that?
Oh,
maybe why are we all bending over the way Florida plays? Why don't you just play your game and see if it's not better than Florida's?
Oh yeah, I don't think Edmonton's going to change a lot at all. It's why I asked the question earlier when everyone's like, "Oh, you know what? Hey, how's McDavid going to adapt to Barkov?" I'm like, "Okay, sure, fair question. The guy's a Selke Trophy winner, but
the other way around."
Hey, yeah, exactly. Like, how's Barkov? You know, because I tweeted out if Florida thinks they're going to win the series with Barkov being on the ice for 1 goal for and 1 goal against 5-on-5, like. I don't if they believe fully that they can limit McDavid to 1 goal 5-on-5 the whole series, like good on them. I just, you know what? Then they will win. I'll say that without question. They would probably win if McDavid's only on the ice for 1 goal 5-on-5 in the whole series. I don't see how you do it, right? Like people were like, "Oh, JT Miller really shut him down," and I'm like, "Well, did he?" Right? Like, yeah, he outshot him 31-10, 5-on-5, right? And that's why sample size of expected goals and stuff doesn't really matter. It only matters for goals for and against. And that's ultimately what matters. And so no team has really been able to limit McDavid for the entire time. Can you have a game or two? Of course. Anybody can have a game or two where you don't score 5-on-5. But if you think you're going to limit them to that little in the whole series, like if they do, then God, they deserve to win because that means Barkov and Forsling and Ekblad have done a fantastic job.
No, I'm with you. Like, McDavid went 3 games in that Vancouver series without a point, right?
Well, he had at 1 point in 3 games. Yeah.
I'm sorry?
Yeah, at 1 point in 3 games. Yeah.
Yeah, but I believe he went 3 out of 7 games pointless.
Oh, okay. Okay. I see.
That's what I'm saying. I think he went 3. I'm pretty sure he went 3 games out of 7 with no points. But you know what? In the other games, he was as good as he needed to be. My point would be this: if you're Florida, like, Barkov shuts down Zibanejad. Great. You shut down Zibanejad. Connor McDavid's better than Zibanejad by some margin. Oh. So I am with you. If we walk out of this series and Barkov shuts down McDavid, they probably win and they deserve to win. But don't tell me that just because you shut down Mika Zibanejad, who's an excellent player, don't get me wrong, he's not Connor McDavid. It's a whole new level. Just the way guys are saying, yeah, sure, McDavid got his points against Kopitar, and he's got his points against Miller, right? And he got his points against Dallas. Now he's facing the great Barkov. Sure, it's a level up for McDavid too. So if I'm an Oilers fan, I'm going to say this: okay, let's all raise our level. We got best against best. Drop a puck, man. Let's see what happens here. And maybe call me biased because I watched Connor McDavid for the last 8 years, but I think my money's on 97. Don't you?
Yeah, and well, the good news for the Oilers is McDavid went scoreless in Game 7 against the Canucks, and they won.
Right? And they won anyway.
Yeah, and so that's
they did.
That's the advantage. He was, I think, he was scoreless in. I think he had points in every game against Dallas except one. I have to look that up, but I think he was only scoreless in one. So the other thing about McDavid is, honestly, I thought he looked way better in the Dallas series than he did in the first 2 series.
Yep.
Right, and so I wonder if he's getting a little bit healthier now. He's got extra time off. That's the other factor here. I think McDavid, that oblique issue or whatever it is might have flared up a bit in Vancouver, but against Dallas, like I just looked at, his shots in the last 4 games in Dallas's series spec. He had 21 shots in the 19 shots in the last 4 games of that series.
Okay.
Right. In the 7-game series against Vancouver, he had fewer than that. So I think he had a total of 5. I think he had 18 in the 7 games, where he had 19 in the last 4 against Dallas. And I know that part of his issue was limited shooting. So to me, he's looking healthy.
Yeah, no, he certainly looked better in the Dallas series than he did in the Vancouver series. Absolutely, no doubt. For me, the barometer on watching Connor McDavid play is he the fastest guy on the ice? Is he creating space with his feet? And in the Vancouver series, he wasn't for a good portion of it. And that just tells me that the game doesn't change. Connor McDavid's always the fastest guy. So when we watch a game and he's not anymore, he's injured. That's all there is to it. Everybody else didn't get faster, Jay. He got slower. So in the the Dallas series, he was way faster and he was superior in foot speed to the field, as it were.
Yeah.
And the other thing we haven't seen here, like, listen, you and me and all our listeners right now, we've all got the absolute honor and pleasure of watching Connor McDavid since the day they drafted him. And he never ceases to amaze here. But we've never watched Connor McDavid with a Stanley Cup on the line. This is a new level. This is a new environment here. And if you're going to tell me you don't think Connor McDavid's going to raise his level with a Stanley Cup, and if not in the building, about to be in the building, like I'm telling you, we're going to see some stuff from Connor McDavid we've never seen before. And I don't know what it's going to be. Right? I don't know what it's going to be, but this will be the best Connor McDavid you ever seen, and that's some kind of hockey player right there.
Spec, fly safe. We'll talk to you tomorrow.
Thanks, Jay.
There you go. That's Mark Spector, the Spec Report, brought to you by GS Construction. We will take a quick break, and when we return, I like it. Ken Daneyko is going to join us on the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
The playoffs are wild. We all know that. And this year, Play Alberta is making it even wilder. Make a deposit with promo code Gregor50 to snag a $50 free sports bet with your next deposit. Get ready for unbeatable promotions throughout the playoffs with 10+ odds boost on every Oilers playoff game. Score a chance to win a pair of lower bowl or even exclusive sweet tickets for an Oilers playoff game just by making a bet on an Oilers playoff game at playalberta.ca. Bonus terms and conditions apply.
Try the new extra-large New York-style crispy pepperoni pizza only from Papa John's. Get you some of that crispy, curly, cuppy pepperoni on top of an extra-large New York-style crust pizza with creamy tomato sauce and a 3-cheese blend. This ain't around forever, so walk fast like you're in NYC and order one now. The extra-large New York-style crispy pepperoni pizza for just $22.99, only at Papa John's. Better ingredients, better pizza, better get you some.
Introducing the Female Super League. Female hockey is on the rise with more women playing the game than ever. Join us as we pave the way for the future of women's hockey. The FSL is more than a game. It's a movement and an experience for the motivated female athlete. Teams will compete in a showcase-style format featuring consistent interprovincial competition. Come be part of the journey as the 2024-25 season unveils a 12U division, as well as the launch of a groundbreaking progressive body-checking 14U division. For more information, visit FemaleSuperLeague.com.
This spring, experience innovation on the road at Volvo Cars Edmonton. Right now, lease from 0.99% or save up to $4,000 on select models for qualifying loyal Volvo Cars Edmonton customers. Plus, save $5,000 on all new and demo 2024 XC60 Recharge plug-in hybrid models. Discover why we're Canada's only 13-time Volvo Excellence Award winner. Chat online at volvocarsedmonton.com or visit 1205 101st Street Southwest.
For a limited time at McDonald's, enjoy the tasty breakfast trio. Your choice of chicken or sausage McMuffin or McGriddles with a hash brown and a small iced coffee for $5 plus tax. Available until 11 a.m. at participating McDonald's restaurants. Price excludes flavored iced coffee and delivery.
The job isn't done until the last load is hauled, and having a semi-trailer out of commission is not an option. Whether replacing or adding to your convoy, Edmonton Trailer has a huge inventory of new and used semi-trailers, trusted by the gravel, logging, oil field, fluids, and freight industries. Find a trailer right for you online or at one of their 3 locations. For sales, service, parts, rental, and finance, when you're in it for the long haul, Edmonton Trailer.
The Brick's fabulous 96-hour sale is back. Check out amazing deals for 4 days straight, from Friday to Monday only. Find incredible savings in every department. Save up to 25% on love seats, recliners, and dining furniture, as well as up to 30% off home entertainment, furniture, and fireplaces. Visit The Brick this weekend to take advantage of these special prices during the 96-hour sale. Some exclusions apply. See in-store for details. The Brick, saving you more. 5:29. Welcome back to the Gregor Show on Sports 1440, Orders Nation, YouTube, and Facebook. Busy show. We love it. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Sports1440.ca, watching live on Orders Nation, YouTube and Facebook, Twitter, Sports 1440 Instagram. We love it. Thank you very much. Let's go around the NHL now. Brought to you by McDonald's. And did you know that starting next week, the strawberry cheesecake McFlurry is back? Real strawberry cheesecake, or pieces mixed in with cheesecake flavored cookie dough. Ooh, God, I love cheesecake. I have to be stopping in there. That starts June 11th, only at McDonald's. We are joined now by a gentleman who knows a thing or two about winning Stanley Cups. Of course, won multiples as a member of the New Jersey Devils. He's in the Devils. He's got his jersey retired there. He's a longtime analyst for the jerseys, now working for the NHL Network. And fairly popular member of the Edmonton community, Ken Daneyko, joins us. Ken, how you doing, my man?
I'm good, Jason. I was hoping you'd throw that in there, and an Edmonton native, of course.
Yes.
Growing up around those great Oiler teams in the dynasty way back when I was trying to carve my way into a National Hockey League player.
Yeah, well, when the Oilers won their first cup, I think you were a rookie with the Devils. 83-84. 83-84.
Yeah, I was, and I had broken my leg that year and missed a lot of the year. But having said that, I was at most of those games back home and rooting for the Oilers. I was just trying, like I said, I think I played 11 games that year, broke my leg, but I'd been around the Oilers as a 16, 17, 18-year-old. Many know that I was good friends with Mark Messier, and he was like a mentor of mine, and just being around those guys. I mean, you talk about the Oilers going back to the Cup this year, and you need that it factor. You need that quiet confidence about your team. Yeah, you need star players as well. And way back when, the Oilers had plenty of that. But for me, what a valuable learning tool I was able to absorb when I was around those guys and just seeing how they carry themselves. And I mentioned one guy in particular, too, besides Mark, Paul Coffey, who I was around and got to know as a young kid. Well, I mean, he has just done a remarkable job, along with Knobloch, at getting these Oilers to understand you can't just win run and gun. You've got to play tight defensively. You got to win ugly games like they did in Game 6 against Dallas along the way to go 4 grueling rounds, and they have done that. And that's the remarkable part for me, Jason, watching the playoffs, and they've been fantastic, was the Oilers for a couple of years. I mean, they were a team that you didn't know what you were going to get in your own zone, right? Or in goal at times. And they were hoping to outscore their opponent, and they were capable of that at times. And they'd win around and couldn't get past that, over that hump like a lot of teams want to, because it's tough to win. But this year, I've just seen a world of difference. And I give the coaching staff a ton of credit once they made the change. I mean, who can you learn better from a guy like Paul Coffey, who's been around it, in it? Yeah, Hall of Famer, great player, but understands the composure you need. And some of the things he's done, I don't take that for granted. Those guys have been terrific. And the calm demeanor of Coach Chris Knobloch as well has really gotten this Oiler team buzzing, so it's going to be a great final.
Oh, it should be. Now, you see Florida a lot, Ken, and we see a lot of people talking like, how's Edmonton going to react to Florida? How's Edmonton going to react to Florida? But I'm like, well, hey, like Edmonton's got the best record in the NHL the final 70 games of the season. They've beaten Dallas, they beat Vancouver, LA, they beat some good teams. How do you think, like, you're a defenseman, like Forsling, like and Ekblad and Barkov, like how do you think they can slow down McDavid? Because no one's ever been able to do it. Even when the Oilers lost in series, it wasn't because McDavid got shut out, right? It's because, as you mentioned, they couldn't defend. Well, so how do you think Florida can go around about trying to slow down McDavid? Because it's a lot easier said than done.
Well, a couple of things. Watching Florida this year, even compared to last year, their run to the Stanley Cup Finals and making the playoffs in the last day, and it was kind of a whirlwind of a run there for the Panthers, and I don't think they really understood what was going on. They just played a hard, in-your-face game. They throw at you, moving the puck north. We're going to get in your face. We're going to hammer you, and If you can stop it, fine. But I think this year they've learned a lot. There's a lot more composure as well. You learn from year to year, and this team is starting to dictate games throughout these playoffs. Last year they won some games they probably didn't deserve to win throughout the playoffs. They got fortunate. They got some breaks, and every team needs that. Don't get me wrong. That's taking nothing away what they did this year, but this is a good team. I don't see a lot of flaws. One way they're going to try to stop McDavid and company, I would believe, is physically, if they can catch them, if they take the angles right. They like to finish their checks. They want to grind you down. They want to wear you down over a 7-game series. And Forsling, I mean, he is an incredible story. He's one of the elite defensemen in the game right now, which blows my mind. I'm saying that. And he was picked up off waivers about 3 years ago. He's that good.
Yeah.
He really is. His gap, his skating ability, his mobility. He's just a great two-way defenseman who uses his stick so well. And they're going to use him to try to stop him a little bit for sure. And they know it's a tall task. Edmonton has the best player in the world. But Florida believes in their depth and their defense. I mean, you look at guys, have they gotten the most out of certain players amazingly on that back end? Mikkola, Kulikov, and Oliver Ekman-Larsson in particular. And I always talk about depth guys and role guys because I appreciate them. I was one of those guys that and Wayne Gretzky will tell you, and I've talked to him many times, or Mark, or whoever, or Coffey. They talk about those great Oiler teams, and they were always mentioning the Lee Foglins and the Randy Greggs and Dave Hunters, the role guys that we don't win without, as good and talented as we are. I think sometimes the young fan forgets that nowadays. You know what I mean? So with what these three guys on the back end for Florida, guys that were becoming journeymen, but they have been outstanding and fit in well with the Florida Panthers. And we mentioned Forsling. They've done a great job with just adding veteran pieces that are big, play physical, and playing their best hockey. So they like to use most of them, not just their big three of Ekblad and Montour, who's been real good in the playoffs, to try to slow down Connor McDavid and company. But it's going to be a great matchups. You look at the top six, Jason, I think you could almost call a wash, really, besides McDavid being the best player in the world. And then it's going to be interesting how the bottom six match up, and we will see. But I do know Paul Maurice, watching him, the way he coaches from a standpoint, he don't care who's out against who. He believes that much in his depth and his team that it's not imperative that he has to get a change right away if the matchup isn't what he likes. And at home, yeah, you're going to get your matchups with defensemen on with the pairing you want for McDavid or Draisaitl or whatever it may be. But he's pretty comfortable with anybody out there, and rightfully so. This is a good team. I don't see a lot of flaws, but I haven't seen a lot of flaws in the Edmonton Oilers this time around either, especially when Stuart Skinner got his game back.
Ken Daneyko joins us. And Ken, to me, a few things for Edmonton. You talk about defense. Darnell Nurse had struggled at times. The last 3 games against Dallas, maybe his best 3 games he's played in a few months. And, he's big, can skate, he's mobile. Against that Florida team, he's definitely not remotely intimidated at all with his size. We know that Bouchard and Ekholm are going to be good. But, I look at Nurse, and right now it's Kulak, who hasn't played right defense, he told me, since before junior. And he went over there and played the last 3 games on the right side and did pretty well. And then, Broberg's come in, looked good. And Cody Ceci actually, since game 5 of the Vancouver series, Edmonton's got, you talk about Florida's depth guys, Ceci's played a lot better lately. And if Nurse might be a big difference maker in this series, because if he plays like he did in game 4, 5, and 6, that gives Edmonton now a distinct 45 minutes where you've got solid defending.
I think you nailed it. No question about it. Your depth guys have to play above and beyond of their capabilities, and you understand your role. And I think and that's what Florida's had with their depth defensemen. They've played real solid, steady hockey, and you have to have that, because it's one mistake that costs you a game, or a couple mistakes that cost you a series. So every play is imperative. That's what the meaning of depth is, really, that they just don't make as many mistakes as the other team. Well, Darnell Nurse went through the adversity, and we all know, and he took a lot of flack for it, and rightfully so. It probably wasn't playing very well, and to his capabilities. My biggest thing with Darnell Nurse is, don't worry. Everybody talks about the contract and money, and it is what it is. God bless him. He got it. But play within yourself. Don't try to be that $9 million defenseman. You don't have to be, and you're probably not that guy. No. You're probably the guy that's big, physical, move the puck quickly, skate well enough to defend, and yeah, he'll battle any Panther all day long because he's a big, strong, physical defenseman. And to me, that is why he's played so well. He's played with composure and why he's been great the last handful of games after going through his struggles. And I love those stories because nobody's going to be perfect in the playoffs, but your team picks you up. And that's what the Oilers have done. And now Darnell Nurse is a key factor because this is a big, physical Florida Panther team. They're going to need Nurse. But don't try to do more than you're capable of. Do what you can do. Don't try to beat three guys or carry the puck too long or whatever it may be. You're a good, solid defenseman that hits, plays physical, get it up ice. You know what I mean? So those are things that I'm seeing, and I'm sure Paul Coffey's had a huge influence on getting him back on track and turned around because Paul's such a cerebral guy. We know how great he was, but he's been around players and championship teams that know there's going to be ups, downs for your game, team game, and for individuals. How do you get out of it? He's gotten out of it, and he's played well, and that's great to see. And don't forget, they got Desharnais. I know, he's been out of the lineup. Broadwood's filled in well, but they're going to probably need him in this series.
Oh, yeah.
He's a big, strong, stay-at-home defenseman as well with a great reach, length, which is so imperative this time of year against a team like Florida who has the Reinhardts and the Barkovs and guys that can hang on to the puck. So you need those guys. So it's going to be everybody on board, and you need them all. But yeah, I've been impressed with the turnaround of Darnell Nurse because you can get your confidence shot and you never get it back. Certainly this year, as well as Stuart Skinner, right? I mean, He has those couple of games where big struggle, he's battled back, and they've played very well in front of him too, so that he could get that confidence back. I'm really pumped about this series. I think this is a hell of a matchup. Star power. It should be physical. The Oilers, for the most part, can match that, but that's the one thing I want to see because Florida's going to come out of the gate and try to probably bang everybody in sight. How do the Oilers handle that great forecheck and pressure that Florida's capable of?
Ken, I want to ask you, you'd mentioned that Messier was a big mentor for you. How was it then when you guys went head-to-head in those playoff series? Now, that was 10 years later, so you're a veteran, but was it like, because, you knew him very well, you respected him, and, you're a hard-nosed player. What do you remember of those battles with the Rangers and the Devils?
I've told many people many times, and Mark and I have talked about it, when he'd send notes, him and Kevin Lowe, during the Oiler Devils era where we weren't very good yet in the 80s. They'd send notes to me through a trainer, and we'd joke around what we did in the summer or something funny that transpired, whatever it may be. When he came to New York, I didn't talk to him for 2 years. It just was that big of a rivalry.
Okay.
I really didn't. It was, I had to find a way when I was out there anyway to try to stop Mark Messier, and it was not easy. So it was battles, man. That's what it was about. We respected that competition, but there just was no love lost. We had plenty of face washes in front of the net and in the corners if I could catch them ever. But but I just had such respect for him. But I was as angry as anybody as far as losing to them. No question, I wanted to beat them. And the great Mark Messier and leadership and the guarantee in Game 6, all those things, that was all part of our process as Devils, and we won the cup the next year. But I look back, and you always reflect on your career, and you don't realize it while you're a player. But, man, I tell you, it just was so important for me just to watch these guys and how they handle themselves and how to become a pro on and off days. These guys lived, ate, slept, breathed hockey. And, they had the great Currys and Messiers and Gretzky's and Coffeys. You go on down the list. Probably the best star-studded lineup you could imagine. But just to watch how much these guys wanted to win. The old saying, you hate to lose more than you like to win. They had that. Wow. I tried to implement that when I came to New Jersey because I believed we were going to become something someday, and I wanted to be part of it from the rock bottom. And fortunately, I didn't get traded along the way and was able to reap some of those rewards down the road and win the Stanley Cup very fortunately 3 times. But I went through some lean years, but those lean years were easier to get through watching these young Oilers and then watching the greats like Messier teach me and Coffeys and all those guys. So I was really grateful for that if I look back.
Ken, give me your selection. Who do you like in the final?
Oh, my God. Everybody's asking. I'm going coin toss. I have this one is so hard for me to predict. I'm giving Florida an edge in 7 strictly for one reason. They were there last year. They don't want to miss the opportunity. but that doesn't mean they're going to win. I'm from Edmonton. I would love nothing more to see the Oilers win the Stanley Cup. Believe me. I mean, and Connor McDavid, get over that. Add that to his resume, and everybody knows when the greats add a championship to the resume, it's just another feather in your cap to your legacy.
Yeah.
So we'll see. I'm just going to, if I'm brutally honest, I give Florida a slight edge just from going through it last year and understanding the little nuances in the finals and what it's going to take this time around. They were a little banged up last year. Their defense a little better. Having said that, I really would flip a coin. I would never bet on it, Jason, because I think it's that close. And if McDavid and Draisaitl or McDavid wins a game or two single-handedly, which he's capable of, well, then I favor the Oilers if they can't quite shut him down. They'll shut him down some nights, but the Oilers can win games now without that. You saw him beat Vancouver with McDavid having no points. I thought that was the biggest blessing in disguise. That was kind of an eye-opening, like the rest of the team goes, okay, we don't have to put all the pressure on McDavid and Draisaitl. And that kind of transpired for me throughout the playoffs with their team and the coaching and everything else that was done so superbly and why they're here right now. So I don't want any Edmonton fans mad at me because I am an Edmontonian. I'm just telling you what I feel, but it doesn't mean they're going to win. I think it's a coin toss. I think it's that close.
Ken, always great to catch up with you, man. Enjoy the Cup final. We'll talk to you again soon.
You got it, Jason. Pleasure being on with you, man.
I bet you. There you go. That's Ken Daneyko. If you put guys on lists that you'd want to go for a beer with, I'm telling you, that would be a guy at the top of your list. You might not know very much about the Devils. You just might be an Edmontonian guy. I'm telling you, it would be unbelievable. Just amazing storyteller. Had an unbelievable career. Great guy. Quick break. We'll come back, wrap things up. It's a Gregor Show live in the EWEL studio, EWEL.ca for all your electrical needs.
I'm Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. And I'm Zach Hyman. And when we're not making juicy, sweet passes or having my goals disallowed, we're working for Legacy Heating and Cooling. You know, guys used to call me a plumber. And now they call you an AC repairman.
Nice. Hey, guys, you're not here to fix air conditioners. You're here to sing the jingle.
Oh.
Well.
Okay.
Call Legacy. Call Legacy.
No payments and no interest for 1 year from qualified installers. Legacy Heating and Cooling.
The locks are on a timer. They're going to get out.
Sounds like a job for the men and women of Action Electrical.
Service team reporting. With the remarkable reach of our bucket trucks and other equipment, we assess, service, and maintain your electrical lighting and automation systems.
Facing an electrical menace? Call the men and women of Action. Operating throughout Alberta at actionelectrical.net.
Until June 8th, make the shift to more savings at Fountain Tire and get up to $200 off a set of 4 select tires, plus a bonus $50 off any service of $150 or more. Restrictions apply. Financing available. Book online today. I can tell by the look on your face you're thinking about it.
Join Kidsport Edmonton's Bids for Kids, presented by GS Construction, June 19th, 5:30 to 8:30 p.m. at the Bell in Scona. Celebrate 29 years of Kidsport with 9 years of tire and courage. Tickets are $75, including entry into a mountain getaway draw. Enjoy a night of sports talk, appetizers and bevies, silent auction, 50-50, and a beer tree raffle. All funds raised support local Kidsport Kids registration fees. Visit kidsportbids4kids.com for tickets. Event is 18+.
For a limited time at McDonald's, enjoy the tasty breakfast trio. Your choice of chicken or sausage McMuffin or McGriddles with a hash brown and a small premium roast coffee for $5 plus tax. Available until 11 a.m. at participating McDonald's restaurants. Price excludes delivery.
This is Navin Ramarak, host of Turn Sports. Tune in tonight as we bring a more global perspective into the sports space with Turn Sports from the Universal Radio Network. That's tonight from 6 to 9 on Sports 1440.
Hey, Eddie Steele here. If you know me, you know I'm motivated. And what motivates me? Winning? Been there, done that. What motivates me is the smell of fresh baked goodness, the kind you find at Bonton Bakery. As soon as you walk into Bonton, you're greeted with a big smile, a warm welcome, and the aroma. So good. The showcase of their baked goods always means trouble for me, not just because of the selection, but the excellent fresh ingredients. That's Bonton Bakery, 8720 149th Street, open 9 to 5, Tuesday to Saturday.
Hey, Edmonton, it's your quarterback, McLeod Bethel Thompson. Elks football is back. The home opener presented by Pure Later Tackle Hunger is Saturday, June 8th versus the Saskatchewan Roughriders. The Grey Cup will be in the house to salute 75 years of EE football. Tickets and more at goelks.com.
What's cracking at Cattail? Their men's league. Play 18 holes for 18 weeks on Tuesdays from 2 to 6 p.m. Then complete the day and head to Out of Bounds, recently ranked one of Canada's top 10 in fine dining restaurants. For details, visit cattailcrossing.ca.
Diablo Boots has been open for business for 60 years, selling Canadian-made quality boots. Diablo has Canada West work, biker, and cowboy boots with fixable soles and heels. So why buy boots like Area, Justin, or Red Wing that are made in China? Get your money's worth with Diablo's Canada West tough, comfortable work boots. So save on boots by Save On Foods, 3340 Gateway Boulevard on the east side of Save On Foods. And does Diablo sell the best boots in town? You betcha.
Before every big interview, every big presentation, every big moment, I've always looked in the mirror and put on my game face. But lately, my eyes look tired, my brow looks old, and I'm starting to think it's game over.
Stop thinking and start seeing Dr. Vance Elliott for skin refreshing treatments designed to give you a fresh and natural appearance.
He didn't make me look weird. No, he gave me back my game face.
Book your consultation today at drvanceelliott.com.
Available only at
There's no other.
They made up their minds and they started packing. They left before the sun came up that day.
Set to wrap up a busy hump day edition of the Gregor Show on Sports 1440. Mind you, the Stingers back in action on Sunday. They're off to a great start, 4-1. You have the Riverhawks finishing up their season opening 6-game road trip. They'll look to even up their series 3-3 tonight, and then day off tomorrow, travel home, and then they have their home opener on Friday. The weather looks great. And then Saturday, you've got them at 1 o'clock. The Elks home opener. We'll be talking a lot about the Elks game tomorrow and Friday as they get set to take on the in their home opener on Saturday, which by the way, I guess we should mention before we get to the home opener, because of course on Thursday is the 75th big celebration. That's kind of the official kickoff, and there's a bunch of alumni events on Saturday and Fan Fest, and then on Saturday. Keep in mind, if you're going to the game, it's 2 o'clock. If you have tickets from 11:30 till 1:30, you can go down into the field house and get autographs from all the alumni. There'll be over 50 alumni there. And then, of course, they take on the, what do they call them? The stubble jumpers. Of course, the Saskatchewan Roughriders on Saturday at 2. And then they actually start back-to-back home game. I can't remember. When's the last time the Elks started 2 in a row at home? So it seems like a while. But they got Montreal next, the 14th, Friday. I think that's what it is. So we'll see. They need a win early, man. They got to, you know what? Hey, it's great to have all the alumni back. I think that'll be awesome, but they need a win. No question about it. Let's get to the con man on a Sports 1440 update brought to you by High Street Insurance. They are driven by people, not products. When people are taking care of people for 10 years, you have success. That's what they do. They can help out your business, locally owned and operated, highstreetinsurance.com. Good night.
This is a Sports 1440 update.
Edmonton Oilers forward Evander Kane will play in Game 1 of the Stanley Cup Final per head coach Chris Knobloch after he hobbled off the ice during Game 6 in the Western Conference Final, playing just 4:39 against the Dallas Stars. He did not skate today. Warren Fogle holding his spot on the second line. And out of Toronto, Lane Lambert will join Craig Berube's coaching staff and as an associate coach before joining the Leafs. He spent time with the Islanders, Preds, and the Capitals, where he won a cup in 2018. Major League Baseball right now heading into the third out in Toronto. Jays and Orioles tied at 2 apiece. Elsewhere, Yankees up on the Twins 4-0. Rays with a 5-2 lead over the Marlins. And the Pirates up on the Dodgers 7-2. Earlier today, you had the Red Sox knocking off the Braves 9-0. Cards doubled up the Stros 4-2. Reds over the Rockies 12-7. Giants get past the Diamondbacks 9-3. Later tonight, Mariners up against the Athletics, the Padres in Anaheim, Rangers host the Tigers, and it's the Battle of Chicago, White Sox-Cubs meeting in about 12 minutes. The Edmonton Riverhawks, one more game before they return home for their home opener on Friday night. They'll be in Ridgefield taking on the Raptors. First pitch set for 7:35. And in the WNBA tonight, Commissioner's Cup continues. Aces Wings in Arlington, Texas. That'll get going just after 6 o'clock. And then at 8 o'clock tonight, you got the Lynx and the Sparks from Los Angeles. And in the tennis world, Novak Djokovic will undergo surgery to repair torn meniscus in his right knee, which forced him to withdraw from the French Open. The surgery will put the 37-year-old status for Wimbledon in doubt, with the major at the All England Club just a month away. That'll do it for us here on the Jason Gregor Show. Up next, we've got Turn Sports. I'm Connor Halley. This has been a Sports 1440 update.